I'm gonna eat this bagel super quick, and then I'm gonna start stream. You can just chill for a second, okay? Entertain yourselves. Play blackjack or something. I don't know. The bagel is one half done. You guys are doing great. Keep it up. Okay. Okay. All right. Eating as fast as I can. All right. Yo. What's up? Sorry for breaking Ramadan. I know, I know. Whew. Oh man, we almost have too much to talk about today. You know, I've really been slacking lately on covering prescient news stories because I've been so warped and wrapped up in Twitter drama. I think it's time we get back to basics. The Tanky arc's basically done. We're going to talk to Hakeem sometime in the future, but apart from that, as far as I'm concerned, it's done. Well, we're always going to be arguing with fascists, so that's never going to stop. We're going to chill with the drama. We still bullying Mike from Pierre? Was that just yesterday? That was just yesterday, but if you want to, you can bully him today. You can do it on your own time. And whew, we yes, tankies are fascists with a different flag color. But sorry, it was a big bagel. But with all that being said, there's a lot of news stuff that I haven't been covering. I think it's probably time that I start covering it. I think that would probably be good. So we're going to be covering that. We're going to be talking about some prescient news topics, adding my opinion to it. I actually feel really, really good today. I did a whole house clean the other day. The house is like really, really clean. I mean, vacuuming, laundry, moving around furniture, wiping down stuff, dusting. Like, yeah, I did a bunch of stuff. And the studio is much cleaner than it normally is because we spend most of our time here. Wait, actually, I take that back. In case the IRS is watching, I don't use this room unless I'm streaming, okay? So all of this equipment and this entire area of the house is tax deductible, all right? I actually only live in the bedroom and everything else is streaming, okay? That's. Did you guys know that? In order to get a tax deduction, like a business deduction on an item or a portion of your house, it needs to be something you use exclusively for work, not something that you use, partially for work and partially for chilling at home. Which to me is a little bit bullshit because, like, for work, like for a streamer, you have to buy a really nice computer, but obviously you're going to use that computer recreationally as well. But the only reason I would buy a computer this expensive is for streaming. So the only reason I'd spend this much is because of work. But I'm not going to like then buy a second computer to avoid using this one for the, yeah. Yeah, you can write off a percentage, of course. Anyway, it's just dumb. Yeah. So how's everyone doing? I feel like a lot has been happening lately. And oh god. We have to talk about it. Did you see Lula is 20 points above Bolsonaro? Yeah, did you guys see? Oh, hold on. Oh god, it's so based. It's so fucking based. Look at this. Oh, that's nice. When you Google it, a link from the surfs comes up on Twitter. But I want an actual article. If I could, that would be. Wait, what do you? Gored auto lesion. What the fuck? What kind of fucked up shit appears on Twitter if you accidentally do the double backspace or the double forward slash? What the shit? Is it like dream stuff? I don't even know, dude. Yeah, that's some deep web shit, all right. Jesus Christ. Dream stands are insane. All right, let's look at it. Is this it? Opinion polling for the 2022. Oh god, it's data. Oh god. Oh Christ, my brain. Well, Lula has indeed tracked up above Bolsonaro right here. I don't see a 20-point. Oh, this is the first round only. We'll look into this later. I don't actually know how the Brazilian election system works. I don't actually know. Be worth looking into. I think double forward slash is used for trigger warnings and such, like trigger warning gore. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Here's the second round. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was thinking we need to consolidate some candidacy here. Here we go. This is what I was looking for. Damn! Look at that. Whoo! That is rough. One thing we always have to remember, is that fascists take advantage of crises, but their support is always going to be short-lived. Always, 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 always. At the end of the day, the majority of people will always benefit more from a non-fascist regime. I mean, who actually benefits from maybe the business class, you know? You could maybe argue like the dominant racial group feels like they're benefiting, like, you know. But in terms of explicit political benefits, things will always swing back. We'll see how these elections go. Hopefully Lula doesn't catch a CIA democratic participation in Latin American elections as a socialist award, you know? Do you think Bolsonaro will do a coup? Yeah, well, we'll see. Sheesh. Look at Bolsonaro's approval. Let's see. Jesus Christ. I didn't know it was this bad. Oh my God. Good, excellent seems to be hovering around 25%, regular at around 20, and bad, terrible at like 50 to 45. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I know he mishandled the COVID thing. Didn't Bolsonaro say that like the COVID vaccine would turn you into an alligator or something like that? Isn't that true? I'm pretty sure that's true. He was like, yeah. Yeah, he did. I'm pretty sure he said that. Yeah, hold on. Yeah, a gay alligator or something. Bolsonaro, alligator, COVID. Oh, he said, okay, if it turns you into a crocodile, it's your problem. Yeah, he's like a vax denier, basically. Yeah, and he said people should get over their dead relatives. Okay. All right. Let me close the window. I don't even know why it's open. It is like painfully beautiful today in Washington. Holy shit. It's been such a nice week. Oh my God. It's been so fucking nice. Holy shit. It's insane. Yeah. Really enjoying it. Oh, it's pretty warm too, though. All right. How long can we procrastinate, folks? How long do you want to procrastinate? That's the real goddamn question. You know what we're opening with? We're opening with Artery wanting to be let out. This is why I don't let you in, dumb fuck. You want to stay in here for like 15 minutes, then you interrupt me. Go, shoot, never come back. Go. Ugh. We need an emote with his face on it that isn't Slugamy. His face is too small and Slugamy. We're talking about the police. Yeah, you know. Yeah, you know. Yeah. So, there's been a collection of tragic police deaths that have taken place over the past couple of days. The three people seem to be talking about most are Peyton Ham, Dante Wright, and most of all, I think, probably Adam Toledo. And the discourse has been fairly predictable. We know where the left stands, and we know where the right stands. But I thought it would be nice to actually talk about one specific case, namely Adam Toledo, and why it should fill your blood with boiling rage. You know, why I want you to have the confidence to defend intellectually the boiling blood coursing through your veins, if you will. This is an article that released 4 days ago. Prosecutors allege 13-year-old had a gun when he was shot by Chicago police. What we know. Tensions are high as the city prepares for the release of troubling video footage of the fatal police shooting of 13-year-old Adam Toledo last month. Saturday, prosecutors described what the officer's body camera footage showed, alleging Adam had a gun when he was fatally shot in the city's west side. Now, notice that wording. The prosecutors described what the body cam footage showed, as in the prosecutors took a look at that body cam footage and they said, yes, Adam Toledo had a gun when he was shot. And then the body cam footage was released. And you're never going to guess what happened. Adam Toledo had dropped the firearm about 1 second before the cop fired at him. Kid dropped the gun. Now, you could say he had a gun past tense, but he complied with the officer's demands. He dropped the gun and had his hands up. The prosecutors, having watched the body cam footage, knowing that the body cam footage would be released to the public, knowing fully well that this is a provable lie that they're about to engage in, said that he had a gun when he was shot. Now, there's a little bit of semantic fuckery here, because technically you could say he had a gun when he was shot, and you mean there was a gun in his possession in the broader sense when he was shot. But that's not really what we care about, is it? Because you could say that a person had a gun when they were shot if that gun was just lawfully holstered in a concealed carry, holster they have at their side. That's them having a gun. If you say a person has a gun when they're shot, what you're implying with that language is they were brandishing that firearm, and that their brandishing that firearm was a threat. Why did he have a gun? Not trying to be conservative. I'm just curious. Who cares? Does that matter? The kid didn't deserve to die. What that kid deserved was to be, it seemed like there was some trouble in the area that the cop was bringing people in for. That kid deserved to present his case to a judge with a lawyer at his side. That is what the kid deserved. I do not care what the circumstances of his legal improprieties are. I don't care if he was a murderer. I don't care if he murdered a person. Everyone, unless there is an immediate need to kill them to defend yourself or somebody else, deserves to present their case in court. Every single person. The cop's job is not to be a shortcut to the death chamber for the judge, okay? They're not like a little sneaky workaround, like, you could go through the legal system, we could nah. Or you could just shoot him. That ain't their job. Their job is to bring people to court. The kid dropped the gun 0.8 seconds before the cop shot him. Now, I propose to you this. I'm not a cop, but I'm going to make a statement anyway. If you are so jumpy that a gun which is not being pointed at you, a gun which is simply being held, is dropped, beat, and then about 1 second later you fire a shot, you shouldn't be a cop. You should be in jail. Because what you just did is shoot a person for complying with your lawful demand. What the fuck are you supposed to do? He dropped the gun and he put his hands up. That's the job. That's what are you supposed? What is this Simon Says bullshit? You drop the gun, you put your hands up. What? How long does it take to squeeze the trigger? If it takes you 0.8 seconds to squeeze a trigger, you probably shouldn't be a cop either. I don't know what kind of degenerative muscle disease you have. I don't know what sort of 87-pound howitzer cannon trigger pull this guy's got on his Glock, but I think 0.8 seconds is sufficient length of time to recognize that a child has complied to your demand, okay? Our brains work a little faster than that, okay? Just a little bit faster. If you comply under these circumstances, it seemed the kid did, that's it. Kid should get to live. Now, conservatives, naturally, are losing their fucking mind about this. What's that dipshit's name? Andy No was posting pictures and videos alleging the kid had the firearm at the time, saying, just, of course, he does the thing, because they're pro-death. Ben Shapiro had a segment on his show where he went over the video cam footage. I can't show it because I'm on Twitch, unfortunately. You're free to go look at the footage yourself if you would like to. It'll affirm what I've said. And of course, Ben Shapiro was doing the bootlicker thing, oh, well, why did he ever go, he ran away? Well, the kid at first ran away, and then when the kid was caught, he dropped the gun and put his hands up, which, okay, you shouldn't run away. I mean, but the kid's 13, and again, that doesn't matter. The cop fucked up. They're doing the whole circuit. Yeah, Sean Hannity, oh, this one's really good. Sean Hannity called him a 13-year-old man. That is a combination of words I have never heard before in my life. A 13-year-old man. It's like a joke, It's like a joke that you would use to make fun of some, it's like the ephabophile language, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, he's 13. He's like an adult, That's the language I'm looking at here. Oh, yeah, and Hannity did call Rittenhouse a boy. What? Yeah, 100%. Yeah, this is, Rittenhouse is a 17-year-old boy. Adam Toledo is a 13-year-old man. Could the language here be any clearer? Could it be any clearer? Yeah, Matt Gaetz calling a 17-year-old a woman, okay? Let me be clear, all right? If under any circumstances a mainstream newscaster, or really anybody, I mean anybody with any kind of clout, refers to an under 18 as a man or a woman, some shit is going on there, okay? There is some significant bias, some reason they are doing that, because nobody just explicitly off the cuff of their mind says 13-year-old man. Nobody says that. I've never heard that before in my life. I've heard like, wow, you're a little young man, like I was 13, my mom was like, you're such a handsome young man. Like, okay, but not 13-year-old man. But they do it because when you refer to a person as a man, it suggests that they're more culpable for the circumstances leading up to their own death. If you call him a boy, people sympathize. That's the reason why. You call the 17-year-old Matt Gaetz trafficked a girl, suddenly things seem a little bit pedophilic. You call her a woman, not so much of an issue. You call a 13-year-old boy gunned down by a cop after complying with a lawful order, and, 13-year-old man, call him a boy, and suddenly people get, teary-eyed about the needless death of a child. Rittenhouse, kill a couple people, run on by after bringing a firearm illegally to a protest, brandishing it, and just having a little bit of fun. That's a boy, 17-year-old boy. Wonder how far we can go with that, You think next time there's some big far-right shooter, he's going to be like 1920 at a college campus or something? They're going to be calling him a boy too, you know what I mean? Were they calling Elliot Rodgers a boy? I don't know. Maybe. I bet somebody did. Somebody somewhere did. It's fucked up. And I think the first thing that we should learn from this story, I mean, what's the first thing we should learn here? Conservatives are evil? Great, easy. Wow. You've watched my channel for any length of time. Sure you can. Sure that one rolls right off the tongue for you, doesn't it? But I think the other thing we really need to take from this is, wow, body cam footage sure is useful, isn't it? Because if it weren't for that body camera, the prosecutor's statement that the child had a gun at the time, would have been the final statement. That would have been that. If in fact, knowing that there was no body cam footage available, the prosecutors probably would have said that the child was brandishing the firearm at the officer, and the officer shot in self-defense. The only reason they curtailed their language slightly before the release of the body cam footage, in all likelihood, was because they knew that it would turn into that they would be able to be fact-checked. And it's only because of the body cam footage that this is even a matter of national attention. The fact that video recording devices are so widespread these days has been pivotal in our ability to identify and correct police violence. Because some people think, like in their heads, they're like, cops are so violent these days. What happened to the good old days? And what they imagine is like a cop wearing just like those little cloth, like cotton, like basically polo shirts, you know? And they would just have the little hat, and they would just stand at a street corner, like whistling, and like a person would run up to them and they'd be like, somebody stole my purse. And then the cop would be like, oh, I'll get them. And they have like a little billy club, and that's about it. Yeah, they picture a constable, basically. The fact of the matter is, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, 70 years ago, the cops were acting every bit as disgustingly corrupt then as they were today. Probably in a significantly more racially biased way than they are today as well. Patrolling black communities and wreaking havoc. Rampant corruption. And who could check them? Nobody can check anything. There are no cameras or video cameras available casually. People aren't running. You know those old cameras where they had the cloth that you would put over the guy's head and it would cover like the instruments of the camera, and they would have to throw white phosphorus on the ground for lighting, and they would like turn a crank and stuff? Nobody is running after cop cars in the 1930s like, this is gonna be the scoop of a lifetime. Like, no, nobody's doing this, okay? The fact that we can record this shit now makes a huge difference in our ability to correct these problems, and body cam footage is one of our best weapons. Now, body cam footage is expensive to maintain, unfortunately. If we want cops to have body cams, that's something we're going to have to pay for. Not only is the actual equipment expensive, but upkeep, maintenance, server storage, and then technical expertise to parse all that information, that does cost money. I would say that's money well spent. I'd rather that money go towards that than whatever the fuck else they're spending money on these days in these police departments. That does, yeah, I would say it's a worthwhile investment, okay? Definitely on the better end of money spent on the police. And it's important, too, because the fact that cops are willing to lie, the fact that DAs are willing to lie this frivolously, when they know they can be double-checked in just a few days, means that without the body cam footage, they're doing this doubly. They're doing this triply so. And we have extensive evidence that very, very frequently, when body cam footage is available, cops' testimonies are contradicted by the factual evidence. This happens over and over and over again. They lie even when they know they're being recorded at all times. They have a propensity, they can't help it, because cops think they're above the law. That's why you keep seeing them running red lights. You ever see a cop run a red, like they put their lights on, the wee-woo, for just a second, then they run a red light, and then they turn it off, and they just wanted like, oh, okay, just get me through here, you know? They'll double park. They'll do whatever. Barely an understanding of the Constitution, these thugs. Barely an idea of what their legal limitations even are, which is why we so constantly see these violations of people's constitutional rights with regards to the treatment from police, because they think they're wolves amongst sheep. They're trained, they're taught from day one at the academy that they are these warrior kings, these aggressors whose job it is to walk amongst the peasantry, to keep order, this killology philosophy. And it makes them angry, it makes them defensive, it makes them paranoid. This isn't good for them either, by the way. And it makes them lie. Because it's all some big buddy frat boy show to them. Cops know it's us versus them, or at least they think that's what it is. So if one of them gets caught, they'll all run to defense. You know why? Because a cop that doesn't gets fucked over by their partners. There are 1,000,001 ways that cops can get fucked over if they lose the trust of their department. And their department needs everyone in lockstep. Everyone has to get behind this. It's a gang mentality. You guys remember? I think it was the city of Atlanta. There were those cops that were working with these real estate developers that own these apartment blocks who wanted to tear down their apartment block and replace it with like more expensive housing. So what the developer did was they actually basically like worked with the police department to over-police that part of the city to try to arrest people on frivolous charges to get people evicted, and that way they could tear it all down. Like an entire department, an entire police department was in on explicitly breaking the law to benefit a realtor. And the story was broken by a guy who went against it and then got thrown out of the department. Got a lot of harassment from cops afterwards, too, because he didn't go in lockstep, because he wasn't part of the team. This is why people say you can't reform this shit. And unfortunately, I kind of agree because you can impose all the laws you want. You can put body cameras on everyone. It doesn't change the fact that, yep, they're in a club and we're not part of it. It's that simple. It's about the attitude. Why do 80% of cops vote for Trump? Or did, I suppose. Why, do you think? That's more than the military. Military is majority Democrat, or at least it's very, very close. Cops, vast majority Republican. It's a club. And there's nothing that we can really do except fundamentally reorganize the ways in which these organizations function. And I think one of the best ways that we can do that, because I'm not going to give you some pie-in-the-sky lefty answer that we need to just abolish the police with no, like, follow-up answer, because I think that's a take that's very reductive in a lot of ways, and it also goes against the lived experiences of quite a few people in this country. I mean, for Christ's sake, the black community was largely on board with the crime bill back in 1994 because they were terrified of gang presence and they did want more police in the streets. So just saying, like, get rid of all the police, whatever, dude, like, that's not really a solution. But I think what would be a really good solution would probably be a point-by-point federal investigation. Remember what they did in Ferguson? Point by point by point, and you go through and you investigate and you prosecute. You overturn every rock. You find out everything that can be done, and with explicit intent to reform these departments, you set up hiring practices to make sure the next stock of cops don't end up like the first ones. Now, that would be a lot of work, and it would be a lot of money, too. But we're talking about reforming what's essentially the largest police system in the world. That would be a nice solution. Maybe there are ways to do that, or implement a portion of that. Some way of running it through, point by point by point. And you want to bring in new people, people who don't have pre-existing connections. That's the important part. It's the connections that are an issue. You can design the best system in the world, but if you turn it over to a bunch of crooks, it's not going to be a very good system. You need to make sure the right people are heading it. Now, what I've given you is also a reductive take, of course. It's all very complicated. But something like that. A purge, if you will, though we leave aside the violent implications, because I am not one for that, of course. Political violence is wrong. But something of a systemic, one might call it a great replacement of police officers. Okay? That's what we're going to do. Get me out of here. Get me out of these. The alt-right has so many terms that mean purge, but get past filters. Yeah, execute Order 66, of course. So you mean if you pass the Civil Rights Act and you let a bunch of segregationists write the crime bills, you'll still have systemic racism? Well, sure, but systemic racism doesn't even need racist people at the helm. Systemic racism perpetuates itself through, like, systemic inequality. If you have a society where absolutely nobody is racially biased, but black people start off with less, the way economics works ensures that they'll continue to have less, at least for a very long time. Now, we do have racists in our system, and we do have explicit racism in our system, so that exacerbates the issue, but we're really fighting against, like, broader economic trends here, and social trends, and demographic trends as well. Oh, speaking of demographic trends, we have to talk about Tucker Carlson. Sheesh. Do we ever? We do, tragically. Also, hey, Shu. So, Vosh, you saying if we prosecuted cops, they would stop being thugs? No, I'm saying if we prosecuted cops, they would go to jail and rot, which many of them probably deserve to do. But there will be open police spots in their place when they leave, and we can replace them with better cops. We can find ways of engaging in hiring practices, psych tests, which differ slightly, maybe implicit bias tests. I think that would probably be a good shot. And longer training periods. And we can put all of that towards the next hiring practice. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. If that system is done and done well, the thing that I suggested, it would cost a lot of money. But the consequences of bad policing also cost this country a lot of money. The criminal justice system and the millions of people who are cycled in and out of our prisons cost a lot of money. the economic deprivation of our neighborhoods, the poor neighborhoods, neighborhoods with many people of color, that costs us a lot of money. So I don't actually mind funding the police in concept, but you need to make sure those funds are being put towards a radical program that fundamentally readdresses how this community and how that department engage with one another. Oh yeah, you could take the money from the military. How cool would that be? Of course, one of the reasons we need so many police is because of the fucking drug war. Do you have any idea how much of our policing money goes explicitly towards the consequences of the drug war? There have been there have been analyses indicating the possibility that the elimination of the drug war could lead to a reduction in the total amount of murders committed, gun homicides, by 50 to 60% in this country. That just by legalizing drugs and no longer engaging in the specific department like persecution of the drug culture, we could significantly reduce the number of gun deaths just right now. And that would mean we would need to have fewer police officers in the streets. And it would also mean that the odds of a police response turning violent would go down significantly, meaning that it would be easier to start having social workers do some jobs that police officers currently do. Because right now, people are hesitant to send a social worker to go respond to a 911 call because there could be a violent situation going on. Like you'd want somebody with firearms training, which a cop has. But the less violence there is in our society, the less likely it is that that's going to be an issue, you know? Oh, by the way, you should need a college degree to be a cop. I don't give a fuck if that makes it hard to find cops. I don't care. You should need a college degree to get a cop. 100%. Yeah. You need a criminal justice degree. You need a criminal justice degree. You need some kind of a pre-law degree, something that would lead you in to law school effectively. Yeah. Canada does that. Plenty of other countries do that. Here in America, I don't know why. Just high school. Now, I don't have a problem with people who just do high school, okay? But we're talking about cops, okay? These people's job is to have memorized in their head a laundry list of laws, the ways in which they can respond to them appropriately, and an intricate and nuanced understanding of the way in which they have the ability to intercede on behalf of those laws to arrest people or to identify criminal behavior. Cops right now really don't do that very well at all. We should probably expect of them at least an undergrad degree. What's your solution for cop prosecution? The current problem is that the prosecutor works closely with the police. Federal prosecutors. If we're doing this like purge thing, this Order 66 of the police, federal prosecutors need to be brought in for all of these cases. They need to be brought in from DC so that so that there's no pre-existing connection. Now there's still going to be some bias there, and it's going to be expensive. But I think all if you could do this well and you could do it once, I think that you could solve many of the problems we have, because so many of these problems are like generational too. You know, you have a cop and they're kind of like a dirty cop. You know, they take some protection money. They've dropped, a couple powder cocaine, pinches on people after shooting them. They've done a couple of bad things, and then their kid gets into it, and they train their kid to do the same thing. Their kid makes all the same friends their dad made, and you have this this unbreakable network of implicit criminality that it's impossible to crack from the inside. You know, states would never agree to that though. It'd be seen as a federal overreach. I don't care. I'm a goddamn. We're getting hardcore federal government overreach here. I don't care. We'll have a civil war too if we need to. Yeah, goddamn right. I'm a fucking federalist right now, running it through people. Fucking the National Guard just rolling through state by state. Fucking the Air Force just flies over. This fucking federal prosecutor shows up. Goddamn right. I am a goddamn Yankee. All right, and you will prosecute your cops. Yeah, airdrop in lawyer. Yeah, the fucking 101st lawyer division, you know? Oh, God. Their little ties flapping up in the air. Goddamn right. We have community anti-corruption measures. Yeah, I think that's a great thing. The Black Panther Party did that, you know, like following around cops, making sure they're doing okay. Making sure they're doing all right. That's one of the reasons why, if you see somebody getting arrested or hassled by the cops, you should always, 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 always record. Record visibly. Don't like hide, record, and keep a safe distance. Do not interfere with the arrest or you'll get arrested too. If the cops start to hassle you, know the laws in your state, because some states unironically have tried to pass laws making it harder to record police behavior. If the cops try to hassle you, you have a legal right to record them in most places in America, I'm pretty sure. And if they, record their hassling. That on social media looks incredible, by the way. If you're recording a video of cops hassling some homeless person, and then they like get in your face over it, it makes them look so fucking guilty. Private cops made me delete photos on my camera. Fucking Macy's. Wait, what? Did they have a gun to you? I'm pretty sure private cops don't have the legal. Wait, first of all, regular cops who work for the state or county don't have the right to delete shit off your phone. Private cops doubly don't. They super duper don't. What's a private cop? They mean security, I imagine. Yeah, you do not have to in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, they can't. They can't even touch you. Yeah, they touch your phone, bludgeon them with it. Don't actually do that. That was a joke. Yeah, security can ban you from a location, and they can, like, under some circumstances, they can hoist you out of a building if they really need to. But, you know, I worked security for a while. We were told not to even accuse people of shoplifting because it's really bad for customers to see public confrontations. It's actually better for the store to let them shoplift than to deal with the lost business associated with causing a ruckus. I never put my hands on anybody. Of course, it helps to be huge, because then people are less likely to start a fight with you. What's your job at all? Intimidation. Seriously, that's it. Can't really do anything beyond that. Oh, also, pragmatically speaking, it's bouncing homeless people off the premises, but I never did that. I'd go tell the manager to fuck themselves when they told me to do that. Okay, I'm exaggerating. I didn't tell them to fuck themselves. I just didn't do it. All right, sorry. I postured for a little bit there. That was me flexing a bit. I didn't say go fuck yourself. I just said I wouldn't do it. Yeah. Yeah, I LARPed there for a little. A little bit of LARPing, okay? I just a little tiny bit, okay? Just a smidge. Yeah. But I actually had a good relationship with a lot of the homeless people at the location that I was at. They would sometimes come in because they needed to use the bathroom. I mean, yeah, we all do. And everyone else was really uncomfortable with them, but, you know, it's not a problem. Actually, there was one time that a homeless person was a problem. It wasn't because they were homeless, because they were fucking crazy. I don't even know if they were homeless. I assume, I guess, because of the clothes that they were, but I mean, there's no way of knowing, I guess, without, like, asking. But basically what happened was I was just doing security. I was doing my security thing, okay? I was chilling. And, you know, I was at the little security podium. I was looking at all the cameras. You know how it is. And I was having a great time. And I got a report that there was somebody being weird in the upstairs bathroom. And I thought, okay, this is cringe. I'm going to have to... Because you never want to be called into the bathroom. I mean, the likelihood of something terrible happening increases exponentially when you have to go in there, okay? But it's my job, okay? So I go up there. And I walk in there, and I hear chanting the moment I open the men's bathroom. Like, chanting. It's a big bathroom. I walk through, and I don't see anyone. I look down underneath the stalls, and I see, like, the little stalls, like, nobody. And then I see there's somebody, and I can see they're underneath the handicap stall. They're laying on their back on the bathroom floor. And we kept our bathrooms, like, clean, so it's not, like, filthy or anything, but it's still, like, weird. And they were just lying on their back, and they were chanting, you know? Pretty loud, too. And, of course, you know, there's nothing in the handbook for this. I have no fucking idea what's going on, but you can't do that? I don't think you can do that. I say you can't do that. So I knock at the handicap stall. What were they saying? It was indecipherable. It wasn't English. Anyway, I knocked at the stall door for the handicap stall, and I was like, excuse me, do you need any help in there? And they just kept rambling in I don't know, yeah, tongues or whatever. I don't know. It wasn't English. And they didn't respond. So I said, sir, I'm afraid I'm going to need you to come on out here. And Still, still no response from this guy. And I can see underneath the handicap stall, this guy's fully clothed. We're not dealing with a nudity situation here. So there's a way you can open these handicap stalls from the outside if you know how to do it properly, because none of these stalls are made like super duper well. And I need to. So anyway, I say, sir, if you don't get out here, I'm going to come in there and take you out. And of course, he didn't move. So I do the little. It's a thing you can do, and I imagine it differs depending on the manufacturer of these stalls. And I open, and the nanosecond I open the store, I mean the microsecond that I push this door open, this guy, I swear to God, it was like Dracula from a fucking coffin. This guy springs up. I mean, I don't know what kind of athleticism we're talking about here. It feels like he didn't even crouch in his knees. He just fucking rose up. And he was huge. He was massive, like 6'8". He was this huge guy. I couldn't even tell all the clothes that he was wearing, but he was this fucking enormous guy, and like way bigger than me on every dimension. And he immediately gets in my face. He starts screaming at me about, and I don't remember the exact words here, and I'm not going to try to replicate it, but he screamed at me about how I ruined his vibe. I'm not joking. That was actually he actually said that specific, that I ruined his vibe, that he was close to the other side. And then I broke it. I broke the chain or something like that. And he stormed out of there like super, super angry. I guess I did the job there. But yeah, no, I feel bad. I ruined it. But yeah. Bosh, I don't believe this story. I'm sorry. I can't help you with that one. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I harshed his mellow. It's true. So what did your manager think? I mean, all the manager heard was the chanting and then saw some huge guy storming out. So I told the story. And my manager also said, are you sure that's what happened? So to be fair, the doubters in chat are not alone. You're in good company with my manager at the time. My manager was actually a pretty cool lady. By pretty cool lady, I mean I admire her work ethic more so than her politics. I actually remember, we're rambling a little bit here, okay? It's a little bit of ramble, then we'll talk about Tucker Carlson. I actually remember, she's like this, and I can say this, right? It's fine. We're like a decade after the fact, okay? She's like super, super hot. She was a black woman, really tall and like fit. Like the shirt, the uniform shirt she'd wear, you could actually see the shirt, the distinction between her arms and her deltoids when it was like properly fitted. You know what I mean? She was young too. I mean, couldn't have been older than 30. And she was like super, super go-getter. You know what I mean? And yeah, she did act a little bit like a cop. Not like in beating people up or anything, but in terms of like the super disciplined, like always, this, then this, then this, then this, like that type of thing. You know what I mean? The impression that I got from her is she had a really rough upbringing and she was hyper compensating for it by being the most competent human being in the world. Which she was. I mean, she would work like from morning to night, constantly and always on top of everything. I do have a lot of respect for people like that, you know? Even though, oh man, I remember that, the Ferguson riots took place back when I was working there, I think. And I was talking about it with her, and it was, I was a lefty back then, you know, so I was getting ready to pop off with some hot takes on the criminal justice system, and I was walking towards her, and she was unironically giving black culture, like these guys need to settle down, they're acting like thugs type thing, and I was thinking, I was in my head, I was calculating, like I'm doing the math in my head right now, and I'm thinking, do I want to argue with my black manager over this? And the mental math turned out, no, I actually didn't. I did the calculations, had an abacus, I was moving beads around, and I realized, no, actually, I did not want to. That is not something I wanted to do. Now, I don't think that she was like hateful or anything like that. You know, maybe not all of you have known a person like this, but I've known a couple of people who they're POC, you know, and they have takes like that, not because they're hateful or because they're like white supremacists or anything like that, but because they grew up with a lot of people in their lives who were very just not great people. they were like slackers or they were like drug abusers and stuff like that, and they've internalized a lot of like really negative feelings about the broader culture of their community, and they feel like they're the escape trajectory, like they're the one pushing out of it, you know. But she was never like supportive of white. She never like said anything that came off like she was hateful. It would felt more like she was disappointed, which isn't good. I mean, that's still a conservative perspective, but I think it's different, at least a little different. You know, you know what I mean? Yeah. In order to have a complete mental picture, I need to know if you had a beard at the time or not. I had a beard. You guys know the Obi-Wan Kenobi pic of me, the one where I'm younger, thinner, have the shorter hair. It was around that time. John Dees, thank you. I'll get to that soon. We probably will. Yeah, that was the fit Ian time. Did you have a taser? No, we didn't have. No, God, no. They didn't give us any weapons for security. God, no. No. You kidding me? Also, you couldn't have trusted me back then with a taser. I was in college at the time. I would have tased myself out of curiosity. Not even a baton, just my fist. Thank you. I never had to fight anyone. Jesus. Yeah. You don't need a taser to navigate mentally ill people. For fuck's sake, people, it's not hard. That's true most of the time, but sometimes people will just attack you. If that guy had attacked me in the bathroom, I would have lost. That guy was probably many times stronger than me, and he was also high as balls. Probably couldn't feel pain. So, to be fair, if that guy had decided to be aggressive, I absolutely would not have won that fight. I thought you boxed, Vosh. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I box in my weight class, not not people on drugs who are twice my size. That's an entirely different. Guys, have you ever, you know why weight classes are a thing? It's because you can't, the odds of you winning a fight, this guy wasn't fat, he was just like big muscular, but a fat person, that's just like an almost undefeatable advantage in most fights, okay? If you're like a 200-pound like fit guy, you're like 6 feet tall or whatever, you will lose most of the time to a guy your size, less fit than you, 400 pounds. It's just momentum. It's just inertia. That's just, yeah. That's just how it is. That's why weight classes are a thing. Yeah. When the first time I tried Krav Maga, I got put up, I was 13 years old, and I tried Krav Maga, which, oh my God, a workout. Whew. But people got paired off, and there were a lot of people. It was a mixed age group class. So there were people from their 40s to their teens. And though I was 13, I was a big kid. So they paired me off with this, I swear to God, he was like this fat British pub crawler. He looked like a stereotype. He was like 6 feet tall, very, very fat. He didn't have a neck. His chin just sort of connected to his chest. Really friendly guy, smile, red cheeks. He unironically would say like bruv and stuff. He was like, oh yeah, give me a shot. Come on, yeah. Come on, harder, yeah. Like that kind of shit, you know what I mean? And he was impenetrable. I couldn't do anything to this guy. His entire body was like fucking Kevlar. It was a kinetic dampener. No, I couldn't do anything. It was embarrassing because if I had been put up against any other adult in that class, I could have done something. Even the fit older guys, I could have done something. But that guy, not a chance. Not a chance. Not a fucking chance. Yeah. Yeah, that's why I hate the English, because I kick to the head. Kick to the head? What? Kick to the head? You watch Jackie Chan? Kick to the... Yeah, you think that's how you win fights? Like... Maybe for a more flexible guy than me, but not me. Yeah, it's... Kick to the dick? Okay, kick to the dick. Now we're talking. They don't allow that in the Krav Maga classes. Do you think your manager was a case of survivorship bias leading to conservative attitudes? Oh yeah, survivorship bias immensely leads people towards that. So here's the way this works. Survivorship bias leads people to believe that the circumstances by which they made it are achievable by everyone. It's an individualist perspective. Now, there's nothing inherently conservative about individualism. I do think people should look out primarily for themselves, because I think that a person who looks out for themselves in a conscientious way tries to do good to society as well, because society that is doing well does well to them. It's a good reciprocal ethical philosophy. I don't know enough about egoism to like really nail it down, but I do believe that. But the problem is, individualism without being able to recognize systemic influences, that is to say, individualism without recognition of social influence, that can be really destructive because it leads people who succeeded to think anyone in my community could have succeeded. Anybody, any individual person, 100% of people can succeed as long as they do what I do. You know, I was just built different. I was just cooler. If they were cooler, they all could have done this, but they didn't, and that's because they suck. But the reality is that when you're talking about systemic discrimination, you're talking about a numbers game. If you have a community of poor people, fewer people from that community are going to make it than people from a wealthy community. In fact, if you go to Beverly Hills, kids there make it pretty much by default because they get the money from their parents. You don't even have to do anything in a wealthy family. As long as you just inherit money, you will make it with essentially zero effort. Whereas if you're poor, oh my God, the work people have to put in, and the work my manager put in, the night classes she took in college, and the daytime work and working to support the family and everything, she put in so much work. But she imagines in her head like anyone can do this, everyone can do this, but that's just not true. It's really all just a statistics game, and people are going to be as motivated as they are, and that has to do with a lot of environmental and genetic conditions. Some people I think are just harder workers than others. But it doesn't change the fact that people are handed much worse decks than others are sometimes. So that's the important part. Survivorship bias is fundamentally conservative because it mixes individualist perspectives with a lack of social awareness or of a lack of recognition for social influences, you know? So I am sympathetic. I wonder what she's up to now. Yeah. Yes, I have the built different gene, of course. Let me wash my hands because they feel weirdly... I need to clean my keyboard. I don't know. I feel like it's dusty or something. I didn't dust my keyboard in a while. I'll be right back, and then we'll talk about Tucker Carlson, okay? All right, no more woofers. Everyone calm down. We have very important shit to discuss. The woofers are done. I don't think anyone who watches me finds the take that Tucker Carlson is a white supremacist to be particularly surprising. That's probably a very cold take to you guys, you know, very, oh wow, how surprising. But I feel like things are accelerating a little bit. I didn't turn my computer noise on. There you go.
If you're over 40, you may have trouble recognizing your own country. It's just too unfamiliar. Now, the self-righteous children on social media don't care to notice this, and when they do, they dismiss it, any complaint about change, as bigotry. But it's not bigotry. It's human nature. Abrupt change causes social chaos, always. Human beings develop customs and habits and generational expectations for a reason. It's not random.
What we're listening to right now is essentially the 14 words. It's human nature to reject cultural diversity. Look at the change in our country. Look what they took from us. This is essentially the exact same rhetoric that you would see in a Nazi community. It's just, leveled out slightly for television broadcasting purposes.
Continuity is comforting to people. If you eliminate familiar things overnight, societies fracture. Populations tend to explode. We've seen that happen. The last industrial revolution, in the end, provoked armed revolutions. Hundreds of millions of people died. Germany got Hitler. Eastern Europe got Stalinism. Yes, we did wind up with antibiotics in the end.
Wait, what is this What is this analysis? The Industrial Revolution made Stalin and Hitler? Wait. Wait, hold on. We've skipped a couple of steps here. Hold on. Wait. Look, we there have been benefits. We got the Industrial Revolution. We got penicillin, but we also got AIDS. What are we talking about? Yeah, the Industrial Revolution and its consequences, I guess.
You could thank technology for that, and we do, but we also got genocide and atomic bombs.
Okay.
There's a lesson here. If you're going to change things, go slowly. Choose the incremental over the immediate.
Wait, is he anti-industrial wait. Would doing the Industrial Revolution slower have changed whether we got genocide and atomic bombs? Wait, is he saying that if we fired retrograde during the Industrial Revolution and maybe took 10 years longer to industrialize London, we wouldn't have gotten... What? This is completely nonsensical, by the way. There is absolutely nothing here. The reason, by the way, why he's mentioning the Industrial Revolution is because he's not referring to the actual big shift that he wants to refer to. The Enlightenment. What he's doing right now is signaling the social change and how rapid social change leads people to their genetic propensity to reject that change. But the Industrial Revolution isn't something that Tucker Carlson has a problem with. He's referring to the Enlightenment.
Explain yourself as you do it. Reassure people. Acknowledge the reality of evolutionary biology. It is real. Human beings are not born to be machine components. You can't just bang out improved versions of your citizens on a 3D printer. People in real life are complicated and stubborn and hard to control. Even the most open-minded ones get jumpy when suddenly everything's different. Obviously, and you'd think it would be.
Notice how he's not actually saying what differences he's referring to. He's not actually talking about these differences. He was just talking about technology. But is he really referring to technology here? He's talking about changes today. What technological changes could he be referring to today? He's referring to social changes today. He's using technological changes as an allegory because he doesn't want to refer to the social changes of the past. The social changes of the past that led to a lot of backlash were things like abolitionism, were things like the civil rights movement, were things like the suffragette movement. But if he refers to those, it's plainly obvious that he's engaging in explicitly reactionary talking points, maybe beyond the point he feels his audience would be able to keep up with. So instead, he's using technological progress as an allegory for what he's really referring to, social progress. More specifically, immigration, race, and cultural diversity. He recently had this big speech where he talked about, does anyone have that clip from Twitter? I would love to show it in addition to this, where he talked about the white majority is getting replaced. I mean, he just explicitly did the white nationalist thing. Can somebody in chat throw that here while I finish this clip?
Be obvious. Wise leaders would know that intuitively. If you're going to have relentless technological change, and apparently we are, you cannot inflict relentless social change and expect your society to survive. Things will fall apart if you do that. That's guaranteed.
See, again, what does this mean? What does technological progress have to do with any of this? Dubsy, did you seriously make a second account just to continue the Nosbel thing? Vosh, seriously, would any of our past heroes have preferred our current level of diversity? Dubsy, aren't you trans? Would any of our previous heroes have accepted you? What are you talking about? Holy shit.
Yet that is exactly what our leaders are currently doing. They're changing everything, whether we like it or not. A new language, new values, new...
Wait, what new language? Wait, is English not still pretty much the language of the United States? What new values? What are we talking about? All of this, you should be able to see, like, the Pepe Groypers, like, flashing on screen right now. He means WAP.
New biology, new curricula.
New biology.
New social mores and hiring standards and body types. A brand new...
Wait, new body types? This is some boomer get off my lawn shit. This, if you were, I guess, not in tune with the type of stuff that Tucker Carlson believes, this could come off as just another, like, boomer ranting about social change. But the kinds of changes he's most concerned about are pretty explicit.
So it's a political question,
This
obviously.
is the clip.
At least one prediction came true right away. All those little gatekeepers on Twitter did become hysterical.
Hey, that's the second time. Both of these clips open with him complaining about, like, woke people on Twitter. That's interesting. Don't you think it's interesting how just 5 years ago, the whole crazy SJWs on Twitter thing was a talking point exclusively used by conservatives? Like, skeptics, you know. But nowadays, it's being used by the president. Trump used it. Tucker Carlson, the largest TV pundit around, used it as well.
They spent the last 4 days jumping up and down, furiously trying once again to pull the show off the air. Once again, they will fail, though it is amusing to see them keep at it. They get so enraged. It's a riot. But why all the anger? If someone says something you think is wrong, is your first instinct to hurt them? Probably not. Normal people don't respond that way.
So, read between the lines. What Tucker Carlson is saying right here is, if you think that what I'm saying is so bad that you want to hurt me, then you're the not normal one, okay? And then he proceeds to recite the 14 words.
If you hear something you think is incorrect, you try to correct it. But getting the facts right is hardly the point of this exercise. The point is to prevent unauthorized conversations from starting in the first place. Shut up, racist! No more questions!
Anti-racism is a code word for anti-right. My free speech is being censored when I am criticized for my political positions.
You've heard that before. You wonder how much longer they imagine Americans are going to go along with this. An entire country forced to lie about everything all the time.
This forced lie is actually a really common component of Jewish question talking points. Yeah, so far he hasn't even noted a problem, but this forced lie is something that neo-Nazis refer to very often. The lie of forced diversity. And usually this talking point is accompanied with very anti-Semitic comics of Jewish people convincing white people that the only way to atone for their whiteness is to let a bunch of black and brown people into their country. You've all seen these comics, I assume. This is something to which you are familiar. I don't need to put it on screen. This great lie of diversity, it's a fairly common talking point, and I'm pretty sure iterations of that talking point were used by Hitler himself.
It can't go on forever, but you can see why they're trying it. Demographic change is the key to the Democratic Party's political ambitions. Let's say that again for emphasis because it is the secret to the entire immigration debate. Demographic change is the key to the Democratic Party's political ambitions. In order to win and maintain power, Democrats plan to change the population of the country. They're no longer trying to win you over with their program. They're obviously not trying to improve your life. They don't even really care about your vote anymore.
Have you ever heard the phrase demographics is destiny? The idea that people have genetic propensities to certain political positions based on their race, and the Democrats' position is not to convince people in this country, but rather to bring in people with a genetic propensity to vote Democrat?
Their goal is to make you irrelevant. That is provably true. And because it's true, it drives them absolutely...
Guys, when you all fucking Pepe laugh D, you act like Mike from PA's Community, just so you all know. When it's not even relevant, like, this is some rent-free shit. Chill out, guys.
Crazy when you say it out loud. A hurt dog barks. They scream about how noting the obvious is immoral. You're a racist if you dare to repeat things that they themselves proudly say. Most people go along with this absurd standard. They do.
This is another really common talking point. You get called racist if you don't ignore the evidence of your eyes and your ears. That they're using the term racist to silence the natural response that Americans should be having to this demographic change.
Beautifully shut up. They don't think they have a choice. But no matter what they're allowed to say in public, everyone understands the truth. When you change who votes, you change who wins. That fact has nothing inherently to do with race or nationality. It's the nature of democracy. It
has nothing to do with race or nationality, but right next to me on screen is the phrase immigration and voting rights. Immigration being a topic which concerns both race and nationality. Really makes you think.
is always true. You can watch it happen. You probably have. All across the country, we have seen huge changes in election outcomes caused by demographic change.
Yeah. This is great replacement theory. This is the idea that, oh, hey, we follow each other. That's cool. That's a rarity. This is plain and simple. The idea that, I mean, depending on how far right you are, it's either that Democrats are doing it or Jews are doing it, but fundamentally the idea that white people are being demographically displaced for political gain. That's what's being said here. There's really no other way around it. This isn't new rhetoric either. I think this clip is from 2018. Yeah,
a recent piece in National Geographic tells you a lot about demographics in America and about how bewilderingly fast they're changing without any real public debate on the subject. The magazine profiles the small coal mining town of Hazleton, Pennsylvania. In the year 2000, Hazleton's population was 2% Hispanic. Just 16 years later, Hazleton is majority Hispanic. That's a lot of change. People who grew up in Hazleton return to find out they can't communicate with the people who now live there. And that's bewildering for people. That's happening all over the country.
Notice how whenever he talks about issues like this, he doesn't actually say what the fucking problem is. The closest he'll get to describing a real problem is saying white people are uncomfortable. In fact, he doesn't even go explicitly to say that. He'll say, like, things change. People can't even recognize their country. But he doesn't actually talk about any issues. The reason why he doesn't is because if he did, it'd be easier to disprove him. He implies the worst possible things without stating anything. It's fear-mongering, plain and simple. All of the boomer whites who watch him, who have never seen a black person in their life, have their mouth agape. They're soy-facing right now as they look at him. And they're screeching about how, yes, my country is hardly what it used to be. I can't even recognize it anymore. Yeehaw! But their community has stayed the same for 30 years. The parts of the world that are changing rapidly are major cities, which are overwhelmingly Democrat, and have been for a long time, before and after we had an influx of immigration from Mexico. So the idea that, like, all this incredible demographic change is influencing white people and hurting Republicans, it's just generally not true. Societies change with time. One of the greatest changes we had to our social fabric was about 60 years ago when black people were given first-class citizenship rights. I imagine Tucker Carlson would have complained back then, too.
No nation, no society has ever changed this much, this fast.
A couple Mexican people moved to America. No society has ever experienced change as significant as that. When I went down to my local Taco Bell, okay, the cashier there clearly spoke English as her second language, okay? I had to repeat myself 3 times. 3 times. There has never been social change as fast as... Oh, are you kidding me right now? Come on.
Now, before you start calling anyone bigoted...
Yeah, I had to... When I called my fucking Medicare provider, I had to press 1 on the phone to select English. Before, they would just assume English.
Consider and be honest, how would you feel if that happened in your neighborhood? It doesn't matter how nice the immigrants are. They probably are nice. Most immigrants are nice. That's not the point. The point is, this is more change than human beings are designed to digest.
It's the same rhetoric. He won't actually say any bad thing is happening. He'll just say, no, genetically, human beings can't tolerate this much racial diversity.
This pace of change makes societies volatile, really volatile, just as ours has become volatile. And notice where this change is not happening. Any place our leaders live.
What?
They caused all of this with their reckless immigration policies. And
caused all of what? What's happened? What changes have been made? What are we referring to right now?
yet their own neighborhoods are basically unchanged. They look like it's 1960.
No, what leaders? Who are we? Do you mean rich people? Yeah, rich neighborhoods don't change as easily with regards to immigration because immigrants tend not to be multimillionaires. Wealthy neighborhoods will change slower in general for a wide variety of reasons.
Demographic change at all in their zip codes. Our leaders are for diversity.
This is a really common Nazi talking point, by the way. You're fine with importing the third world into our country, but you stay in a gated white community. It's a really common Nazi argument right there. And then they'll call people Jewish. You know, it's a really, really, really common one. We should be concerned about this stuff. Tucker Carlson has been engaging in this rhetoric for a long time, but Tucker Carlson has only gotten more and more popular. There was an article done on how white supremacists and white nationalists loved Tucker Carlson's Great Replacement rant, the second video that we saw in this clip. Of course they loved it. It's the most popular television broadcaster, period, and they're essentially repeating Nazi propaganda. Things are moving to the right quickly in this country. For example, there are some Republicans, most notably Marjorie Taylor Greene, who have joined up with the America First caucus, which explicitly looks to defend Anglo-Saxon political traditions. This is essentially just the Nazi wing of the Republican Party. There's no real getting around this. America is a nation with a border and a culture strengthened by a common respect for uniquely Anglo-Saxon political traditions. It's as explicit as it comes. Social trust and political unity are threatened when foreign citizens are imported en masse to a country, particularly without institutional support for assimilation and an expansive welfare state to bail them out, should they fail to contribute positively to the country. And then they talk about the progeny of European architecture, where public infrastructure must be utilitarian as well as stunningly classically beautiful. So they don't want shiny buildings, they want buildings with columns, basically. I don't know why white nationalists LARP over this shit so hard. Just seems like a weird thing to focus on. It's the meme, yeah. Funnily enough, Trump passed that bill for public buildings to be exclusively limited to like neoclassical styles just a couple of months before he left office. Guys, very soon, I don't know if there's going to be a party split. In fact, I doubt it. Most of the Republicans, most of the Republican officials either do not recognize or do not care about neo-Nazis. Sorry, executive order, not a bill. They don't care. And we're now at the point where Republican congresspeople are explicitly just promoting Nazi rhetoric. A lot of people devalue the significance of this rhetoric because, like, oh, it's Nazi rhetoric for them to dog whistle. Oh, it's Nazi rhetoric for them to be anti-immigration. But I don't know how much closer we can get than this. I feel like we're pretty much at the line right now, or very well past it. And there's nothing we can do about this except learn to identify and push back against these cultural changes, which we need to do. The Democratic Party is not equipped to do this. The Democratic Party may identify far-right tendencies, but they are unwilling to use the power they have to do anything about it. We need to change that. People, they say this sometimes, you know, what is democracy? I'll give you an analogy, okay? Let's say you run a hostel, all right? A hostel for troubled youth. I don't know, young adults, 18, 19, 20. You got problems here, but a lot of people, 40 people live here. And there's one major rule. No violence. No violence. That's the major rule. Everything else you can work around, but that's the major rule right there. No violence. Now let me ask you a question. Let's say Big Timmy goes a little off his rocker and starts fighting people. Breaks the leg off a chair and starts smacking people around, okay? There's violence all about. Now here's a question to you. You got two options. Do you stop Timmy, probably using violence in stopping Timmy? Or do you think, oh no, this is an anti-violence shelter. There's no violence allowed here. My hands are tied. I can't do anything. Which do you think is the correct answer? And there is a correct answer, by the way. So one or two. What do you think? The correct answer, in any sane world, is one. Of course. Because in order to protect anti-violence, you must use, at times, violence against the violent. Sometimes that's really the only option. I mean, God, otherwise all it takes is one lunatic and your entire system collapses because you lack the ability to change them. So I ask you again, with democracy, what is the most democratic decision? To allow neo-Nazis, autocrats, and anti-democrats to take power, thus destroying our system and destroying our ability to fight against them? Or to not allow them to do that? See, in my mind, a pro-democratic decision is a decision which prevents anti-democrats from taking power. Pro-democrats must preserve democracy, as we must here. Something needs to be done about this. And we're not going to get it with limp-wristed denunciations from the Democratic Party. All right, hello. I don't know how many times I have to talk about the tolerance of paradox in this community, but I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep doing it. She has almost the same skin tone as Trump. Yeah, maybe it's like a disease or something. Isn't this kind of why the ancient Greeks were against democracy and wanted to elect a philosopher king? Isn't that kind of isn't that kind of like causing the problem so that there's no chance to cause the same problem? You would want to preserve democracy so you don't have a philosopher king or whatever. Yeah, there's just Plato. You know what? Fuck Plato, okay? Fuck Plato. Jesus. Who cares? Fuck Plato. I stopped fucking with Plato back when I was in elementary school. Dubsy, you realize that you're like permanently banned now, right? You've ban evaded twice. You can keep coming back and then keep getting banned. It was a weak ban to begin with, but now it's permanent. How do you dispute the people are naturally territorial argument against immigrants? Because they're not. People are naturally tribalistic, but tribalism doesn't have to follow along racial or ethnic or immigrant lines. And by the way, even if humans were naturally distrustful of other nationalities or ethnic groups, that's not a fucking argument. People are naturally scared of needles. Should we not get fucking vaccines? How much of our like civilization should we destroy because it elevators, people have a natural aversion to elevators. Humans were terrified of elevators when they were first invented. They were lifty boxes. Oh, guess we can't have elevators then. We can't do elevators anymore because some people have some natural aversion to it that they lightly get over with time. Some people have claustrophobia. No such thing as small rooms anymore. People are afraid of flying. No planes. Sorry. This bullshit argument. It's funny, you know, fascists idealize strength, but they cower to human weakness. It's pathetic. Oh, some people have a very slight ingrained concern about natural difference that can be alleviated with just a small amount of contact with the group they're afraid of. Time to shut down all of modern society. Jesus, fuck off. Have you talked about the libs of your community revolting against your gun takes? No, there are a lot of libs in my community. We'll have to slowly red pill them. I don't look, if they don't like guns or if they don't want guns, that's fine. But a lot of them just seem to have like this natural political aversion to the idea that one day we might have to defend ourselves after society collapses. And that I find very distasteful. I don't know, guys. You've already seen brief periods in modern America where portions of this country fell to violence. Do you really think there's nothing in the next 50 years that might lead to far-right militias roaming around the place? If far-right militias are roaming around the place, do I want my diverse neighborhoods to be armed or unarmed? Do I want to be victims or victors? I'm not saying you all have to go out there to the range fucking 4 times a week and plink off with a 22 at a 20-yard away a target or anything like that. But yeah, I think probably pretty decent idea to at least prepare for the possibility. Nah, this won't happen. I mean, you can believe that all you want. No society has ever not had times of massive civil unrest. Can you name a country older than 50 years that hasn't had some massive internal civil unrest that led to violence? Name one. Can you think of one? There might actually be one, maybe like Switzerland. I actually have no idea. Has Switzerland ever? Hasn't Switzerland been around for like hundreds of years? Sweden? What do you mean Sweden? Vatican City. Okay, that I'll believe. Vatican City. Wait, what's the history of Switzerland? History. How long has Switzerland even existed as a country? I don't even know. Switzerland had a civil war? Really? More than 50 years? Wait, guys, hold on. I didn't say within the past 50 years. I was just saying countries that have existed for more than 50 years. Specialization, world wars, history. I guess we had, like, back in the 1800s. I mean, we got that, I guess. Whatever, go move to Switzerland then, okay? Vatican City was actually sacked in 1527 by dissidents. Ah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, we're talking about incredibly small countries with very stable economies right now. That's true. This is dumb, okay? If you really believe that with all the shit that's coming up from from climate change to climate change refugees to nuclear proliferation to fucking the propagation of far right ideologies all around the world, like I feel like uh yeah, no end of history believers in chat. What should we do about these people if Dems won't do anything meaningful? We have to push for their denunciation and removal from power. That's what we have to do. We have to make the argument that some beliefs preclude a person from being allowed to participate in democracy. You still have free speech. You can still speak. You can still spread your opinions. But no, democracies must self-preserve. You cannot allow a democracy to field and empower people who will destroy that democracy. The ultimate cancel culture, okay? Can you speak on antics recently burning the Apple Store, please? What about it? An Apple Store got burned. Is there anything else to it? I'm genuinely asking right now. No? Just an Apple Store got burned? Okay. Yeah. Right. Bosh, I expected to get red pilled and guns to your video, but this is unironically just cringe. If you argued it better, people like me could easily be moved over. Damn, socialist catboy. You should change your name to liberal catboy. I think my video is fine. I noticed that you don't actually have any criticisms in your comment, just whining. But, you know. Cringe. Have you seen the new Lindsay Ellis video? Yeah, I have. We tweeted it. We tweeted criticism at Sean the other day because he seems to be siding with the abusers, the Twitter abusers, over Lindsay Ellis in this situation. Which isn't surprising. I think that. Man, can I say the C word on Twitch? I don't know if I can. Vosh, the fundamental flaw in your argument is the assertion that the risk of the government shutting down is higher than the risk of harming yourself or a friend with a gun that you own. No, it's not. The only way that a gun would be harmful to you or a friend or a family member is if you use that gun and pull it out anytime you hear rustling downstairs, okay? You can own a gun and not, like, paranoid fucking push it out to defend yourself anytime you hear, like, a raccoon skittering outside. You can own a gun, keep it in a safe, and just leave it there. Like, that's an opportunity. That's a possibility, you know? Yeah, stop being so fucking jumpy. Do you think the left is capable of saving the world from the climate crisis? No, the left has no power whatsoever. Are you kidding me? We have no political power. You fucking joking? This is like, not even slightly. No, we're not capable of... Maybe we can delay, but no. No. Climate change is going to get very, very bad. But, with luck, the human population won't drop below the peak number that it held 100 years ago. So maybe we'll be able to bounce back, huh? I don't know about you guys, but I live on a hill, getting ready for the, Bosh, I think you're afraid of debating your take on guns. Well then, what if I was afraid of debating it, where are the counter-arguments? The problem is that people... Oh, here's the real hot take. Some of you guys make the same arguments about guns that conservatives make about trans people. You don't actually have arguments, you just have an intrinsic feeling of revulsion that you're projecting onto me, and you're upset that your revulsion isn't being treated like a serious argument. You just have an intuitive dislike. Which is why a lot of liberals, they don't even listen to the arguments that I'm making. They respond by they try to counter points that I've specifically addressed. And it's like, oh my God, we're not even having a conversation right now. Isn't there data to indicate that gun control leads to less gun issues? I'm going to play Minecraft. Gun control selectively can be fine, but we're not going to... It is politically and practically infeasible to get rid of all guns in America. We have an enormous number of guns. politically, there would be a fucking civil war if massive federal legislation. You would have to get rid of the Second Amendment. That would require 2/3 of our states to ratify a change to the Constitution. Okay, that not here in America specifically. I'm talking about America specifically. Okay, not to mention the number of people who will be making straw purchases, even if we do crack down on these guns. Like, no shot. No one in mainstream political discourse supports getting rid of all guns. Yeah, I know, except for some of the idiots in chat, dude. Holy fuck. You can 3D print guns. You realize that, right? This isn't gonna happen, okay? So you're saying you shouldn't try? Yes! Stop wasting political resources on a fruitless effort at getting rid of the hundreds of millions of guns in this country. Address the real problems. Stopping the drug war could cut down on more than half of the gun deaths in this country, okay? Jesus, focus on the shit that actually works. What about assault rifles? Anybody who uses the term assault rifles should never talk about guns, okay? Do you know what an assault rifle is? No, you don't. Most firearm deaths are committed with handguns, okay? Not fucking rifles. Handguns. Handguns kill infinitely more people because they can be concealed on a person. All right? People are just intuitively upset with guns. Yes, we get it. They're dangerous. Cars kill more people, okay? We're not getting a handgun ban in the US. We're not getting a gun ban in the US. If people want to get guns in this country, they are always going to be able to get guns in this country. The mass shootings of 10 plus are always with AR-15s. That is because AR-15s have larger magazine sizes. That doesn't mean they account for most firearm deaths. You're talking about and hyperbolizing a very, very, very small percentage of the total number of people who die. You're essentially prioritizing the data sets that get the most media attention. The vast majority of gun deaths are not committed through mass shootings. That's like 1%. That's like less than 1%. We can do another stream on this, but like I feel like the people who are arguing against this aren't arguing in good faith. Yes, I am, so let's ban AR-15s. Why would you ban AR-15s if people will just use pistols? You can put a 30-round mag in a pistol. It's just people just use AR-15s. You pull them steady against. They have the fucking butt that you put against your shoulder. This isn't going to work. Would Las Vegas have happened with a pistol? Why are you hyper-fixating? First of all, yeah, I'll take the hard shot. Yes, a reasonably well-trained sharpshooter can absolutely kill people at a long distance with a handgun that chambers appropriate ammunition. Yes. Maybe as effectively? No. Maybe they could have just gotten a little closer. There's no need for the rifle. It's possible. Wasn't he firing into a huge crowd? You could use a hunting rifle, too. You wouldn't have to use an AR-15 or anything else people call an assault rifle. Also, why are we trying to build gun policy around large media events that aren't indicative? God, you're acting like reactionaries right now. This is like people running around talking about how black teenagers are knocking white people's heads on the street because they saw one Instagram video of somebody doing it, or a live leak video. Like, this is not how you form policy. Like, look at this one event that took place years ago. That was really scary. Like, come on. We can look at the data right now. How many gun deaths in America are caused by handguns? Facts and figures. All right, let's learn about guns. There are about 40,000 deaths from firearms in the U.S. 61% of deaths from firearms in the U.S. are suicides. That right there, this group of people right here, AR-15 bans aren't going to help them. In 2018, 24,432 people in the U.S. died by firearm suicide. Jesus. 14,000 people died from firearm homicide, accounting for 35% total deaths from firearms. Firearms were the means for about 74% of homicides in 2018. The other 3.6 were unintentional, undetermined, or from public mass shootings, 0.2% of total firearm deaths. This is what you people are fixating on right now. Public mass shootings, 0.2%. Okay? That's what you're trying to base policy off of. Do we have handgun info here? And a firearm. No, we don't. Let me see if I can find that really quick. What about how many gun deaths in America are caused by assault rifles? I would have put finger quotes up if I could have when I typed that. Share the murders and suicides, all murders and suicides, number of gun deaths, rate of U.S. gun deaths. Which states have the highest and lowest gun death rates? Holy shit. Montana and Alaska. What are we doing today? Oh my God. Jesus. What types of firearms? Handguns are involved in the majority of the 11,000 U.S. gun murders and non-negligent manslaughters for which data is available. Rifles were involved in 4%. 4%! Shotguns were involved in just 2%. 4% were used with rifles. 4%! The remainder of gun homicides and non-negligent manslaughters involved firearms that were classified as other guns or type not stated, aka they didn't know, basically. Just, yeah. This is from Soaked on Left. More guns. All right. Scope of the effect and gun. Jesus Christ. How the fuck did Soaked on Left write out all of this? What the fuck? Wait. This isn't meant to be disrespectful. Is he like mega autistic or something? I say this with the greatest respect as a fellow autist. I couldn't even fucking comprehend. I know what he doesn't have. ADHD, okay? Holy shit, I couldn't sit down and type out a quarter of this. Oh my God, he's just a nerd? Oof. Cringe. All right, let me take a look at this. This thing is so large, I can't even find the place we were stuck on. More guns cause more death. I agree with that. So how do we go about reducing the number of gun deaths? Drug war! Sorry. Causal, right to carry increases violent crime. That's true. Concealed carry increases violent crime. I agree with that. Waiting periods reduce homicides and suicides. That's true. I think I agree with that. State laws, gun violence. Mass shootings increased by guns. Policy. Suicide increased by guns. Yeah, I don't think I disagree with this. Yeah, I don't disagree with any of this. The problem is getting rid of guns in America isn't feasible. So we can't change these problems by just like banning all guns. Waiting periods, I think, are okay. That seems like an okay thing to me. Yeah. I'll agree with almost everything descriptive with Soaked on Left. It's just a matter of like what can be done about that. But if you can't get rid of all the guns, at least to an extent that you would be able to solve these problems, the only solution that you could really arrive at after all that is to deal with the social problems that, you know. Is there a way to end mass shootings? That's a cultural problem, I'm afraid. And by the way, guys, look at other countries. Even if we got rid of all firearms like that, you know what? How mass deaths would start to be committed? People would drive trucks into crowds, okay? If you want to kill a bunch of people, every culture has their own flavor of mass death, okay? No, bollards stop that. You can't put bollards at everything. You can't do that in a school, so just kill people elsewhere. I've literally heard the truck argument on Fox News. It happens. The reason why America has so many mass shootings isn't because of gun proliferation. We had this many guns 50 years ago. It was a cultural change. You guys realize that, right? You realize that, right? America had a fuck ton of guns 50 years ago, too. But there weren't anywhere near as many mass shootings. Can you prove that? Prove what? If there were a ton of guns back then, and a ton of guns today, but there weren't, we had more mass shootings 50 years ago? Wait, is that true? We had as many guns back then? Not as many, but we had enough that people could reasonably gain access to them. And it's not like automatic and semi-automatic weapons with large magazines didn't exist back then. They certainly did. Yeah, we absolutely didn't have as many mass shootings back then. Wait, hold on. America mass shootings 1960s? What? List of mass shootings in the United States. We need to start banning a lot of people, by the way. I like how the 21st century list of mass shootings has to be organized by year, and then after that you can list it by decade because there were so many fewer. If we go to the 1960s, we have 6 listed. Whereas if we go to 2021 alone, we have 8. And we're 1/3 of the way through the year. Yeah. The reason there are more mass shootings today is because of a change in our cultural attitudes, because of a change in our social development, an increase in mental health problems, an increase in a lack of social cohesion, changes to the ways we treat other communities, social divide. There are a million things that cause the increase in mass shootings today, but it is not because we have more guns, because I promise you there were plenty of guns in the U.S. back 50 years ago. How many guns were in United States 1960s? I guess the 1960s were 60 years ago. By the numbers, guns in America. Let's see. That's not what I'm looking for. Do you agree the gap between the poor and the ultra wealthy contributes to an increase in gun violence? Yes. Inequality significantly increases the likelihood of social unrest. 100%. Let me see. Can I see some? Oh, hold on. In 1969, the commission estimated that Americans owned 90 million firearms, with half of all households owning at least one weapon. Yeah. And nowadays, Americans own more guns, but about 45% of households had at least one weapon, meaning that back in 1969, more Americans had a gun in their household than they do today. Our population was lower back then, too, significantly lower. So no, people had about the same level of access to guns back in the 1960s that they did today, but there were far less shootings. $2 Scratchy, I'm not arguing that firearm laws reduce gun deaths. Please. We're talking about other countries. New Zealand. We're talking about New Zealand here. Please stop. We're talking about America, where we already have so many guns. Please stop. I know, obviously, if you have less guns, there will be less gun deaths. But in America, we have so many guns, and we're so politically defensive of them that solutions which are as simple as just get rid of the guns aren't going to work. Please, please listen to me. I know that less guns means less gun deaths. Please. Okay. We have to stop. We have to stop. Okay, so you concede the point? All right. No, this is not me conceding the point. This is you never having understood the point. We're on the ban arc. We're banning more people than ever before. Shoe on head. What am I supposed to do with these people? Shoe. Shoe, I can't deal with this. Shoe. Percentage of households in the U.S. owning one or more firearms. What? Exclusive premium statistic? What the fuck did you just link me, Lily V? Is this a fucking joke? $40 per month to look at this fucking graph? Is this a fucking joke? Am I being memed on right now? Can I open a new window or something? View for free. Nope. Wait. Wait. Does it show it for a second? Look, there. Look, there. It's close enough. You see. Look, it's enough. There. Now you know. We're right here. We've been basically stable at the same basic level for a while. Okay, there you go. Okay. Now we know. All right. What is your solution to mass shootings? We need more social cohesion, okay? Under the green button, that button doesn't work. I tried it, okay? Will less guns lead to less deaths overall? The only way to get rid of you need to make firearms less accessible, but we're so far away from that the policies that would be needed to correct that would be so severe that they would be almost impossible to pass. Cunny Matthew 2, the Supreme Court has already ruled on the interpretation of the Second Amendment, and the well-regulated bit is not going to save us on this. Can you elaborate more on your takes with regards to the drug war? Would ending the drug war reduce violent crime? Wow, from The Atlantic. Single best anti-gun death policy, ending the drug war. Universal gun confiscation is impossible. And even aggressive gun control might not dramatically reduce gun-related deaths. Because you can straw purchase, because it's really, really easy to get a hold of it illegally, because there are so many guns, you don't have to go through legal methods if you're going to commit a crime. But ending our ridiculous and expensive war on drugs could. Oh my God. The impossible dream, zero gun America. Oh, they're killing out the liberals. Ugh! But to become like Japan, banning gun sales wouldn't be enough. We'd have to actually confiscate all the guns Americans have now. Guys, if you send federal agents to the houses of households with guns and tell them, hey, here's our Santa bag, drop your guns in the bucket, do you have any idea how much violence there would be? There would be more gun deaths in the year that a gun confiscation program came out than the past decade combined, okay? There would be fucking blood running through the streets if federal agents started trying to... There would be a fucking civil war, okay? Holy shit. And you'd be affirming every single crazy prepper boomer Republican out there who have been stockpiling guns to specifically anticipate the government trying to take their guns away, okay? This is because guns are very durable. They last many, many years. The United States has far more guns per 100 people than any other country. 88.8 in 2007 compared to 58.2 for second place Serbia. It would take many decades for a gun sale ban to reduce that number to rich country averages. Nor is there any certainty that marginal reductions in gun ownership would bring matching reductions in the murder rate. Brazil, for example, has a murder rate more than 4 times as high as the US with less than 10% of the gun ownership that we have. In other words, it's possible that appreciably reducing gun murders will require a truly huge and unrealistic reduction in gun ownership. Holy fuck, The Atlantic is blowing you people the fuck out right now. You're all getting... I hope you all are red-faced, okay? Because you are getting shown the fuck up by this article. Now, if the U.S. banned gun ownership and confiscated all the guns that people currently own, it would probably be very effective. But this is almost certainly politically unfeasible, and if somehow the 14th Amendment were repealed and this law were passed, it would cause violent civil unrest. Additionally, lots of people could hide their guns. This effort required to confiscate them would likely turn our country into a police state. So universal gun confiscation is out. Oh my God, I'm gonna fucking blow my load! Ah! Holy shit! Any gun control we enact will have a limited effect, but this should not be cause for despair. Much of the recent hysteria over gun deaths is misplaced. A lot of people have been citing a recent report, American gun deaths to exceed traffic fatalities by 2015. This article shows that gun deaths in America are slowly rising and now stand at 32,000 a year, a staggering toll. Now, 32,000 deaths per year is a lot of death, and I would never minimize that. But what the article's authors fail to mention is that gun murders comprise less than a third of that total, around 9,000 per year in recent years. With accidental gun deaths studied around 500 to 600 a year, the bulk of those gun deaths are suicides, which is important to point out. Because while murdering a person with a non-gun, when a gun would have been the other option, is much harder, a person, while access to a firearm does make suicide easier, you could reasonably argue many of the people who committed suicide via gun would have done so via other methods if they didn't have access to a gun. Not all of them. Gun access does make it way easier to kill yourself, but at the very least, some of them. A good number of them, I imagine. In fact, murder by gun has been falling steadily since the 1990s. Some of that is due to improvements in emergency medicine, but most of it is a result of the overall decline in violent crime that America has enjoyed over the past 2 decades. So, with gun deaths going down and gun ownership holding steady, but gun suicides going up, doesn't that make it seem as though this is a cultural problem? Doesn't that make it seem as though guns are just the tool by which people are acting on a broader issue, the increase in suicidality? maybe? That there's like some other strong issue we need to address right now? The fact that overall gun deaths have risen in 2000 despite the fall in murders suggests that increased gun suicide has accounted for more than 100% of the increase in gun deaths. Obviously, suicide is a tragedy, and I don't want to minimize it, but people aren't panicking over suicide, they're panicking over murder, and gun-related murder is on the way down. Still, 9,000 gun deaths a year is quite a lot. If we really care about those 9,000 souls who are shot to death each year, here's an extremely effective policy we can enact right now that would probably save many of them. I'm talking about ending the drug war. God damn right. Based and red-pilled. Okay? Based and fucking red-pilled. Right here, okay? Alright, are we done? Did we do it? And by the way, that article was written by Noah Smith, who I've talked to before, and who you know is based, because he has Conte as his fucking Twitter avatar. Now, who else do you know who has Conte as their Twitter avatar? I ask you, who else? All right. Okay. We have to be done with this. I've said all I have to say. He's a neo-lib, and right now he's correct. Vosh, is that from Fully Cooley? Yes. Let's just focus on what matters. The increase in suicidality is a huge problem. It's caused by a lot of things. But we'll save that segment for another time, okay? Frosted Cupcake, I love you. What legislation would you put in place to change mass shooting culture? You would need to reduce isolation and alienation. What leads to people being sad, lonely, isolated, and suicidal? Okay, now that's a really complicated one, and it's not an easy problem to fix. A lot of it has to do with suburbia, which we've talked about in the Echo Gecko videos. A lot of it has to do with rising income inequality. A lot of it has to do with pessimism about the future. A lot of it has to do with rising social alienation and the fact that our schools and workplaces are becoming increasingly difficult places to find people to meet and talk to and be friends with. A lot of it is having to do with people having fewer friends and having romantic partners later and later in life. There's so much that goes into it. All of these points can have to be addressed in a number of ways. And if we can do that, we can solve a lot of these problems. For sure. For sure. Yes. Bo has said that like 70% of them have histories of domestic violence, so red flag laws targeting them could help. That's true. I think if you've committed domestic violence, I don't think you should be able to own a firearm. Now, unfortunately, right now, often domestic violence will get reported on, but it won't get charged because the victims of domestic violence, they don't want to file charges usually because they're dependent on their abuser. But yeah, if you've committed domestic abuse, then you have demonstrated to the world that you do not have the emotional stability to keep a firearm in your home. Maybe you could appeal it 10 years later or something like that. I think I would be okay with like appeals a very long time later because I am of the opinion that people can change. Right now, felons, for example, cannot carry guns ever. I would be okay with some way of appealing this process, maybe some way, you know. But yeah, I think that'd be like an okay. I think that'd be like an okay thing to do. Yeah, some kind of psychological and social inquiry, you know. Does that make sense? Are we good? Are we good? Are we good now? Are we fine? Are we okay? Vosh, they banned me for life from having guns for fighting my dad at 18. Well, that is probably not good. Probably. Very good. Do you agree we need mental health checks for gun ownership? The idea of having to submit yourself to some kind of state evaluation before you can own a firearm isn't something that I like. If you've already been flagged for mental health problems, like if you've been committed or you've had some kind of significant, like if there's some pre-existing legal or psychiatric record that maybe is severe enough to warrant some kind of issue, then sure. But the idea of you having to like go to your local city hall and like wait there and talk with like a psych for 15 minutes before you can get a gun. Do you not agree there should be no guns for schizophrenics? I mean, if you're diagnosed with schizophrenia, then that would be a pre-existing medical record that would preclude you. Mental health records are sealed, though. When you try to buy a firearm, the background check is submitted to the state. The police run that check. They can access your medical records. Do you think gun ownership licenses are a good idea? I don't know. It depends on the way in which they're implemented. Does that make sense? Yeah, background checks can look into psychiatric stuff. When you buy a gun and you fill out that little form, you have to say that you have to say that you um you have to confirm that you've never been institutionalized. Do you think Are you against driver's licenses then? Because I think gun licenses should operate in the same way. No, I don't think so. Driver's licenses are the way they are because cars are an essential and ubiquitous part of commerce, and poor operation of a car can cause many, many deaths. But firearms aren't really used in that way. People don't like use firearms in public 2 hours a day where a minor mistake like kills a bunch of people around them. The state wants to incentivize people to use cars because they're economically beneficial. But the state doesn't have that incentive with firearms, which means they might be more selective with who can have or not have them. And I don't want there to be political bans for people who can use firearms, you know. Oh, you were associated with Antifa, well, you can't have a firearm, that kind of stuff, you know. What's your opinion on mandatory training? Maybe. I don't know. All right, can we please stop? Can we please stop? Please, oh God, please help me. Help me. Please. We have to stop. I want to talk about other things. I want to help me. I want to talk about other things. We're trying to have a chill stream today. That's all I want. It's all I want. It's all I want. You know that song? It's all I want. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's the song we're talking about right now, okay? Well, what is that? Rise Up? Rise Against? No, the Backstreet Boys. That's what it is. Only if you stop constantly asserting mentally ill people are violent. What the fuck is wrong with you? When did I say mentally ill people are violent? What are you reading into my statements to have heard that? Go. Perish. Fuck you. Learn to interpret statements with even a fragment of charitability. Holy shit. I said the opposite. Watch, stop reading chat. Oh, the trials and tribulations of being a live streamer. Are guns shiny? Good guns are shiny. That's true. That is true. Okay? All right! I think they mean the schizophrenia thing. I do think that people diagnosed with schizophrenia probably shouldn't own firearms. Is that really a hot take? Seriously? That doesn't mean all mentally ill people. That's like 0.2% of mentally ill people. Maybe. Maybe not even that. Most mentally ill people have borderline personality disorder, manic depressive disorder, clinical depression, anxiety disorder, stuff like that, you know? Schizophrenia is a condition that might increase the propensity for you to misuse a firearm, okay? And by the way, if you do have depression, I think you should be hesitant before purchasing a firearm. I really do believe that. Androidus, I'm sure I got it. It's just being silly. We'll look at donuts soon. Should chat be allowed to own guns? None of you should be allowed to own guns. Most schizophrenics are not violent. I'm not talking about violence. I'm talking about suicide. I'm talking about it hurts. We're moving on. I'm dragging us here, okay? Did somebody just say, I think suicide should be legal, though? That's getting the fucking idiot band. All right. We're moving on. Guys, I'm happy to announce art and reality are converging once again, okay? It's true. Penis Inspection Day is back on the menu, boys. But it's in high schools. And Republicans are the ones doing it. And they're saying it's to protect children. Yeah, I'm not joking. Florida's new ban on transgender students in sports would allow schools to subject minors to genital inspections. That's not a joke. That's a real thing. In reality, that's happening to the world right now, okay? That's you know, sometimes you really do pierce the veil and you just see beyond all the bullshit in reality and you get to see pure distilled comic artistry. And here we are. They actually did it. It's Penis Inspection Day. Under a new ban on trans students in sports passed by Florida's House of Representatives. Yeah, this was passed, by the way. This wasn't introduced. It was passed through the state house. Schools would have the power to subject students to a physical examination if their gender is disputed. The Fairness in Women's Sports Act bans trans female athletes from competing on women's athletic teams in both high school and college sports, although trans male athletes may still compete with either team. In cases where a student's biological sex is disputed, the law authorizes schools to require health examinations or documentation from the student's personal health care provider. A dispute regarding a student's sex shall be resolved by the student's school or institution by requesting the student provide a health examination in consent form or other statement signed by the student's personal health care provider, which must verify the student's biological sex. So let's talk about how this works for a second, okay? First of all, let's say this works exactly as intended, okay? It's horrible. Now let's talk about how this is actually going to take place. This is pedo rape shit 101. Sorry, there's no other way around it, okay? This is going to be some, like, if you have a ambiguous or androgynous student and you have some creepy, horny fucking perv gym teacher that they're going to abuse this system to do everything they can to creep on these kids, okay? 100%. All right? That is where we're at right now. This is creepy as shit, okay? People are going to be raped over this, 100%. There's going to be some crazy fucking sexual assault shit going on, and it's all being, like, God, there's comics about this. This is like, where was that comic from the Bad Frog comic artist? And it was like the girl was peeing in the stall and the cops kicked down the door, show us your genitals, ma'am. Oh, good, just trying to keep you safe. Then they move on, that sort of thing. If I recall correctly, the inspections are only conducted by health professionals, but still, what kind of medical examination inspects your fucking biological sex? What is that? I want you to picture how this is going to work, okay? I want you to imagine this, okay? POV. You're an androgynous, we're not even going to say trans. You're an androgynous 14-year-old high school freshman who wants to join the sports team. Now there's trans hysteria going on all over your school. The teachers are talking about it. The gym teachers talking about it. The students are whispering about it. You want to join up with a sports team. Now, how hyped do you think this 14-year-old would be to submit themselves to a literal genital inspection being performed by a school official or by some other health official, which they have to provide specifically to, like, what are you writing down here? Like, the health official is like writing down, yes, I'm sorry, the PE teachers aren't doing this, though I'm sure because this is Florida, within a couple of days, we're going to get news stories of the PE teachers actually doing this themselves. But, yeah, no, this is being done by medical health professionals. But the problem is, once you begin the process of systemically discriminating against people in a medical way, the laws and rules really do not last very long. For fuck's sake, kids already are getting abused by their gym teachers. You really think there isn't going to be abuse of this system? You know? Oh, we can let you in on the team today, but our medical examination won't be scheduled for 2 weeks. Let me just get it out of the way now. You really think that's not going to happen with everything we know about how predatory these people are in schools? and everything we know about how these things tend to go. This is fucking disgusting. This is a pro-pedophilia law. I don't care. I do not care what these people say, whatever rationalizations they've developed to convince themselves that, oh no, actually, this is a totally necessary measure to protect the sanctity of women's sports, a thing that nobody on the right ever has cared about in all of human history. For fuck's sake, conservative demagogues have been making fun of women's sports for ages. They'll watch women's volleyball and all they'll talk about is how the ass crack rides up in their uniform. They'll joke about how that's the only reason people watch women's sports. But now that we can use this wedge issue to shit on trans people, now it is an issue of immediate and significant importance, so tremendous that we have to submit minors to genital inspections to prevent this problem. Yeah, here we go. Here's the Bad Frog comic. Truly a banger. Truly ahead of his time, Bad Frog. Really hitting us with the classic, art, reality, blurry line stuff. That's how you know it's good satire. Is this actually live video footage of a Florida high school? I don't know. You don't know. Maybe it could be. We have no idea. Why is the skin green? Probably the chemicals in the water. Maybe Floridians are alligator people. I do not know. All I know is that we're heading down a very dark road in this country with regards to trans people. Most of the good states, and I mean states that are majority blue, are probably going to double down on protecting trans people legislatively. But the red states, we might pretty soon have ourselves, and this is a little bit of an exaggeration, I admit that, but for trans and gender nonconforming people, we might have a kind of north-south situation going on over here. Not to say you're not oppressed in the north, but rather be there than the South and a slave, ye back 150 years ago. I imagine a lot of young trans people are probably fantasizing day in and day out of skedaddling out of the red states to try and get over to a state that will not explicitly fuck with them. You know? Now, I do not think the Union is going to initiate a civil war to protect trans bathroom rights, and probably shouldn't. I feel like that'd get a little bit convoluted. Maybe there's a better solution to this problem, but yeah. This is why it is so critical to defend trans people, by the way. I mean, overwhelmingly critical. The reason for that is because this is just the front line. Trans people deserve defense in and of themselves. I'm not saying it needs to be for any other reason than that, but if you get rid of the protections for trans people, they're coming for gay people next. The position of virtually every single state Republican Party is anti-gay marriage. They say that explicitly. Like every state Republican Party, anti-gay marriage. Once you fall on one line, you go to the next. They're doubling down right now because without Trump in office, the only way Republicans have a shot at consolidating a position in the culture war is by engaging in these broad attacks on civil rights. Rather than coalescing around something Trump does, they have to make their own magic happen. They have to hurt people in their own ways. So, yeah. To anyone in Florida, not even just trans kids, by the way. Again, gender nonconforming. This doesn't have to just be for trans people. This is just a thing they're going to do to like every femme person, I swear to God. If you're in that situation, I deeply, deeply, deeply sympathize with you. Okay? Seriously. And I hope you're able to get out of this soon. I hope it's overturned soon. I hope that it doesn't last, you know? Seriously. But it might. It might. We'll have to see. And in the meantime, at least we have VGG. The real safe space for trans people. Yeah, there you go. If you go on the GOP website, their platform legit says they're against same-sex marriage. It's right there in writing. Yeah, of course. I love how some people, I see you, Shu, were like super sold on the idea that Trump would be the advent of some sort of pro-LGBT Republican Party, whereas the party has never not been anti-gay marriage. And Trump, for his history, has never been particularly progressive. Vosh, I'm asking in good faith, do you think suicide should be illegal? I don't think suicide should be illegal, but I think everyone should take steps to prevent people from committing suicide, because people who commit suicide usually do so in a heated moment and they like don't want to afterwards. Have you ever heard about those interviews done with people who jumped off a bridge? Yeah, sure. But like they survived, and they always say the same thing. It's like the nanosecond I jumped off the bridge, I immediately thought, holy fuck, I made a mistake. You have very, very strong biological impulses that make you want to live. Almost everyone does. Sometimes they fail, but reality kicks back in pretty hard when you're facing death for most people. So I think that most people attempt or commit suicide in a very heated moment, and that it's probably best if people are to commit suicide that it should be done with some kind of psych eval. Yeah. Vosh, that's stupid. The people who did want to die, end up not being around to report their side. No, they jump off a bridge. If you jump off a bridge and the vast majority of people who survive realize that they actually didn't want to die, why would you assume that people who did die had a higher propensity for suicide? We're talking about a fairly neutral selection. Unless there's a selection bias for propensity to suicidality in jumping off a bridge and dying as opposed to surviving. Like people who do want to die, like land in head first or something? I don't know. Like, yeah. Like, yeah, if they really wanted to die, they would have died, bro. They would have, like, really, really wanted. You know? I'd take endless gun wanking over this. I would take anything in life over this. Don't worry. Hey, who wants to shit on Biden? I say, needing to use the restroom. But then we will. Then we will, okay? Jesus Christ. It's so fucking bright. Every time I walk by an open window, I feel like I'm getting flashbanged by a fucking SWAT team. Jesus fuck. Bosch, I really strongly agree with you. I wanted to commit suicide. I once tried to walk on a not-so-solid frozen river. Once it started cracking, I became terrified for my life and managed to get back on land relatively safely. Holy shit, dude. I'm really happy you're still with us. I'm happy that the ice just cracked instead of immediately collapsed. Jesus. Here's the data that supports that claim. Bosh, I tried to jump out of a window when I was 10, and when I tried to make the jump, I slipped and fell into the room and instantly regretted even the attempt. Still a fear of heights after that. Yeah, I think the idea that, like, people just want to kill themselves sometimes, why don't you just let them do it, is incredibly insensitive and very, very ignorant of the processes. Look, I have manic depression because I have bipolar disorder. There's been like 2 or 3 times in my life where I've like never like planning, but like I could die, you know, whatever. And these are like imagine we have to do a thing. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Okay, we're doing a quick thing. Okay, imagine that like that's a square. Imagine that like mental well-being can be represented by like a little wiggly line. Okay, and if we have a baseline like right here. And then we have like this, okay? And you have your woo, woo, you know, and then you have like a really bad day. Like a family member dies and you get broken up with and like some just really shitty stuff, okay? Decisions made here should not be permanent decisions, okay? The decisions that you make on this day should not be decisions that are going to have a permanent effect on you because these are not going to be exceptionally well-planned decisions, okay? Seriously, these are not, and suicide is actually the most permanent decision you can make. That's about as permanent as it gets. So these are not the ones you want to make. You want the permanent decisions in your life to be had up here, okay? You want those big days. No, Vosh, you wouldn't say that about any decision other than suicide? What? Suicide is the most permanent decision you can make, Five Lights. What the fuck do you mean? There's nothing more permanent than suicide. Also, yeah, you also shouldn't, like, do crazy shit like sell your house and go out on a fucking alcoholic binge day here. Yeah, you shouldn't make big decisions in general on days like this, okay? Just as a general rule. Yeah, don't, like, get a tattoo on these days either, okay? Just as a general rule. Anyway, some people don't always have the most stable, some people, the line is different for different people, you know what I mean? For some people, the line is higher, and for them, like, their life is like this, you know what I mean? But just because you're below that line doesn't mean that you have to kill yourself or whatever. And even sometimes it dips even further below, and you go back with your head above the water, and you just have to remember, okay? Sometimes it feels like the only points you're really living life are right here, okay? But I've always given the same advice for depression, okay? When you're living like this, okay, what you need to do is you need to, it's like playing Kerbal Space Program, okay? You want to fire prograde whenever you're at your apoapses, okay? Whenever you're right here, you want to maximize your well-being to the greatest possible extent. If you're a depressive person, what you need to do when you wake up and realize that you're having, like, you feel kind of okay, you know that feeling like when you're feeling depressive, some days you're like, you wake up, but some days you wake up and you're like, oh, hey, like, you don't feel ecstatic, but you're like, oh, hey, I can just go in the shower. I can just make my food. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Some days are like that. Like, you just have this day and can do a thing. You know, you can do a thing now. What you want to do is you want to do everything in your power to maximize this. Okay, get your laundry done. You don't have to do everything, just some. Do a little bit of house cleaning. You know. Just take advantage of this time to the extent that you can, you know, and know that it's not permanent. I feel good today. I may not tomorrow, but I enjoyed today. So do things today that you'll remember when you're next feeling here. And the nice thing about humans is that our brains are like an engine, okay? Momentum, inertia. When you move in a direction, you keep moving there, okay? So the nice thing is that if you do, you know, if you have like a little day like this, you might make it easier for you to have another day like this. And maybe that'll be a little bit better. And it won't permanently fix all your problems. It won't mean you'll never dip down. Sometimes you might even backslide and have a really, really bad time. But you wait for the next bubble above air, the next surface breaking, and maybe you can make a little more of it, and a little more of it, and a little more of it. Track the good days. Maybe have a little calendar where you have like all your days lined up, you know? And you're like, how did I feel today? I felt okay. Today sucked. Today sucked. I felt okay. And chart that and do it day by day. And you'll notice after weeks and weeks and months that there's going to be a general positive increase most of the time, I think. Most of the time. Because it makes you more conscientious of the good days. One of the worst things your brain does is that whenever you're having a bad day, you form a shield around yourself and you forget everything good that came before and everything good that can happen after. You feel as though the state that you're in right now is the permanent and existentially correct state that your mind is meant to be in, and that any time you felt good in the past was some kind of brief period of delusion that you enjoyed, before now you're experiencing the truth, which is that you're sad, and this is your whole life now. This is complete bullshit. Depression lies to you, okay? This right here is complete bullshit. That's a fucking lie. There is no barrier, okay? You can have a bad day, and next you can have a really, really good day. Or you can have an okay day. Or maybe you'll have 2 more bad days, but then an okay day. There's no actual hard line here. And the idea that the truth of the world is your depression and that the good days are just a delusional diversion from those positions is something depression tells you to self-justify. So don't do it, okay? The more you have the good days and take advantage of the good days, the easier they will come. And eventually, okay, with the bad days will begin to feel more anomalous themselves. And you'll have a bad day and you'll think, wait, hold on. Bad days don't happen that often for me anymore. This is just one of those things. Sometimes I feel that way when I smoke too much weed. Just gets me feeling bad. I don't know, but I like sleeping, so I smoke the weed. But when I feel that way, when I used to feel that way, when I'd smoke too much weed, what I would think is, oh my God, everything sucks, my brain is broken, and I'm never getting out of this. But now when I smoke too much weed and I feel depressive because of it, all I have to do is think, well, I probably wouldn't be having these negative thoughts if it weren't for weed. And in like 2 hours, I'm going to be sober. So, okay, not a big deal. I'll just chill for a second. I'll play a video game or watch a movie. I mean, things may suck now, but like, oh, whatever. It's 2 hours. Like, it's like having a cramp in your thigh. Like, it sucks, but you know it'll go away. It's crazy, isn't it? With physical injuries, you know it's going to go away. Even the worst headache, you know, like, eventually this will go away. Right now, things suck, but eventually things will go away. But not so with mental health. You think, like, this is forever now, but that's not true. Your brain and the relative distribution of hormones and so on, and serotonin within it, it's subject to cycles and influxes and outfluxes, the same way that many physical injuries do. Now, there are, of course, some physical injuries that are permanent. That's true. Like if you fucking slip a disc sometimes like that, that's possible. But I think that most mental health most mental health issues, even if there's something you're going to deal with your entire life, there's still something that you can correct for and live a good life of in spite of. It's not like I don't have bipolar disorder. It just doesn't affect me as much because I talk to a good psychiatrist. I take lithium bicarbonate, helps me out a little bit, you know, and you develop coping mechanisms for the worst days. Simple as that. I mean, it's not easy, but it is simple. Easy and simple, two very, very, very different things, you know? Yeah. Know what I'm talking about? What if you can't get help right now and need to stick it out till you can? You are the best help you can ever provide yourself. You are the you help, okay? Just take a chill. That's what you got to do. You just have to fight against the urge to believe that negative feelings are permanent and positive feelings are fleeting. In reality, both are fleeting, but you have the ability to decide which is going to be more consistently a part of your life. Now, again, this isn't some like willpower, just get over it, forehead bullshit. But again, it's patterns. It's you know, you're running, you get the momentum on the upper bit, you know, that kind of stuff. And this goes not just for depression, this goes for any kind of psychiatric deviations. I think a lot of people don't realize this because they themselves don't really struggle that much with mental illness. But the kinds of problems that you deal with through depression aren't at all like the kinds of problems you deal with when you're sad. I've been very, very sad before. It's sadness and depression are two totally different things. It's reductive to call depression sadness. It's not just misery. It's called anhedonia. Sadness makes you sad. Anhedonia means the inability to experience pleasure. Even a person who's like devastatingly sad can usually find some kind of comfort in something. If you, like, your dog dies, you can be really fucking sad if your dog dies. But if a person isn't depressed, that sadness can be alleviated through the comfort of somebody near them, or through something or other, or maybe they have a comfort show, or maybe there's a person they care about, or ice cream, or whatever. But depression is more about emptiness. And if you feel empty, you're kind of stripping people of the ability to believe that life is worth living, you know? Because, I mean, if you're not feeling anything, like, okay, like, all right, what are we doing here? In reality, anhedonia is just another emotional or psychiatric condition that can be overcome with time, but it's not the same as sadness. Does that make sense? Any advice for young adults in high school during COVID? I'm afraid I don't really know what it's like out there with COVID. I work inside, so, you know. Research on gratitude? Oh, yeah, true. I've actually heard this before. Being grateful for your happiness and just for life in general tends to make people way happier, you know? It sounds like some cringy, like, white woman tantric yoga bullshit, and it's not helped by the photo they put up here. But it actually seems to be true. That being grateful for things in general seems to make people happier. Because we have such a really bad habit of fixating on negatives and not fixating on positives, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of positive stuff that goes on in most people's lives. Usually there's some friend or something, even if it's really baseline stuff, you know? I'm grateful for the fact that I was able to understand this concept that was difficult for me, you know? I'm grateful that maybe some people just be grateful that you can, like, walk around and use your body normally, you know? Isn't this the glass half full versus the glass half empty? It's not so much about positivity And it's more about training yourself to pay more attention to the good parts of your life, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? You can be negative while also training yourself to keep an eye out. Sometimes people will have some or a lot of good in their lives and they don't even really pay it much attention. Some people, to be fair, don't have that much good going on in their life, which is why the ultimate source of contentedness must come from ye heart, or I guess from your brain, you know? Because the easiest way, the best way to make your brain feel good, this is nothing beats this, okay? Nothing even comes close to being this. This is more than drugs, this is more than alcohol, this is more than sex, romance, friendship. This is number one, okay? It's you set goals and then you complete them. You set goals and then you complete them. It's that simple. Nothing ever beats that. It's something to do with our hunter-gatherer brains. I don't know the biology of it, but that right there is the baseline. Setting a goal, a thing you want, even if it's something trivial, like cleaning a room, or even just cleaning the floor off your room, or, you know, like making your bed. Set a goal and do it. If you're not feeling great, you're probably not going to be able to achieve great goals, so set small goals and then do those goals. And you'll feel good about those goals, and it'll give you a little bit of energy, maybe a little bit, you know? But you have to believe in the goals that you're setting. This is literally just quoting self-help books. Well, I mean, I think if it's good advice, it's good advice. There are people here who are going to delegitimize it because they're like relating this to Jordan Peterson, but this is fairly basic psychiatric advice. It is important to feel a relationship to your own productivity. Vosh, I feel nothing after cleaning my room, even though it takes all my energy. Was that a thing you wanted to do, or was it a thing you had to do? Do you want to do anything? Is there anything you want to do at all? If not, and this is an important lesson to learn as well, sometimes psychiatric help really is sort of the kicker here, you know? There are psychiatric problems that are definitely best addressed with some kind of psychiatric consult or evaluation. That is definitely the case. That's not to say that you can like bootstraps your way out of mental illness. Just helps. Yeah. Depression can cause you not want to do anything. I know. I have struggled with depression. I'm perfectly aware of that, which is why, guys, remember the chart. Very important. You wait for the good days, even the okay days. Small goals and achieve them. Forcing yourself to do shit you don't want to do when you're already feeling down doesn't make you feel better. But sometimes there is a certain pride to be taken in taking advantage of your relative ability to get shit done. Good time to do stuff. Oh yeah, none of what I'm saying is medical advice. It's just my opinion, okay? When are you going to delete the backflip? What backflip? Was there a backflip here? Backflip. My counselor called it executive function days. Yes, executive dysfunction is when you just can't do shit. Executive function is the opposite. Oh yeah, you should always brush your teeth too. Physical decay enables mental decay. You would be amazed how much feeling good and clean can contribute to a general feeling of well-being. Otherwise, you turn into a big lump. There's some quote from a Kurt Vonnegut book. Was it Sirens of Titan? No, which one was it? Was it the Slaughterhouse 5? It might have been Slaughterhouse 5, I think. There was a quote from it, and it was from the perspective of a collection of British POWs that were being kept in a German POW camp. Not a concentration camp, a POW camp. Because they were British and white, they were treated better, of course. It wasn't a death camp. And one of the commanders of the captured British soldiers was very insistent that all of his men who were captured, every single day, they must engage in rudimentary exercise, brush their teeth, make their bed, etc., etc. You know, even though it was all disgusting accommodations, they would have to do that every time. And he said that if and shave every day too, every single day, shaving with a razor and the foam, you know, straight razor. And he said the reason why they had to do that was because if they stopped exercising every day, then they would stop shaving every day. And if they stopped shaving every day, they would stop brushing their teeth every day. And if they stopped brushing their teeth every day, they would stop making the bed every day. And if they stopped making the bed every day, they would stop getting up out of bed. And if they stopped getting up out of bed, they would die there. So you do all of those things, and all of them got to live. Does that make sense? And if they die there, well, then they're dead, you know. So. Bosch, a small criticism. Death camps never had housing accommodations. They were for killing people. What? It wasn't a death camp. It was a POW camp. I mean, people were kept at death camps. They were worked to death. They had little places to sleep. I'm not sure what you mean. Not downplaying the Auschwitz-Birkenau. Yeah. Brush your teeth on stream right now. No, that's I brushed my teethies this morning. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, do we get the point? Do we get it? Are we fine? Do we get it? Okay, we get it. What color is your toothbrush? It's blue. Thank you. I don't want to downplay the importance that psychiatric consults can have, though. That is very important. Okay. I know that not everybody has the money available to get that kind of psychiatric consult, and also many people are going to have bad luck and they don't get a great psychiatrist. But I think it's important to try some of this stuff. You know. Okay, we're good. This would be a nice YouTube video, I think. Maybe! Okay. Biden. Who here is satisfied so far with Joe Biden's performance as president? I was hoping more of you would say yes, so I could say you're all racist. Biden set to accept fewest refugees of any modern president, including Donald Trump, report says. Since his days on the campaign trail, Biden has tried to cast himself as diametrically opposed to President Donald Trump when it came to welcoming refugees into the United States. And that's true. You remember all of his speeches where he was like, we need to open the... No spoilers, chat! We need to open our hearts to the people, you know, like that sort of thing. You remember he would talk about that and try to oppose Trump's general positions on immigration and refugee housing. Well, within 2 weeks of taking office, Biden signed an executive order to rebuild and enhance federal programs to resettle refugees, programs he said had been damaged under the Trump administration. He also revoked some restrictive immigration policies Trump had put in place, including ones that sought to ban refugees from certain countries. In February, Biden announced he was raising the annual cap on refugee admissions to 125,000, 1/8 of a million, for the fiscal year that starts October 1st, up from Trump's historically low limit of 15,000. However, Biden has yet to do one thing that would make all those changes official: sign what is known as a presidential determination. Without that action, Trump's old policies and his 15,000-person camp on refugee settlements remain in effect. Signing a presidential determination usually takes place almost immediately after such a policy announcement. The delay has lasted 8 weeks. This is unacceptable, okay? He postured during the entire campaign trail on how he was going to be diametrically opposed to Trump's policies on refugee admissions. And he talks this game, but he's not willing to commit to it. Now, this received an enormous backlash of criticism from AOC and from other Justice Dems, progressives, what have you. So much so that it looks like he's backtracking. The White House said Friday that Joe Biden will set a new increased refugee cap next month after facing a barrage of criticism when officials confirmed to CNN and other outlets that it would remain at the historically low level set by former President Donald Trump. So listen to that. Officials confirmed to CNN and other outlets that it would remain that low. So it wasn't just Biden's administration taking a long time with that presidential confirmation. They confirmed they were going to keep it that low. But, and this is probably a pretty strong sign that AOC and progressives in the Democratic Party do have some sway, just hours ago, this happened today, by the way, the administration announced Biden would sign an emergency determination that keeps this fiscal year's refugee cap of 15,000, but not raise the refugee cap as he had committed to doing, marking a significant reversal from his administration's proposal earlier to lift the cap to 62,500. This move faced blowback. Instead, the emergency declaration returned to regional allocations, in effect casting a wider net of who can arrive in the U.S. under the refugee ceiling currently in place. The administration left the door open for raising the ceiling sum if the 15,000 is met before the end of September. Just last week, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said that Biden remained committed to raising the refugee cap to 62,500. And they said they will set a final increased refugee cap for the remainder of this fiscal year by May 15th. Now, there are two possible interpretations of this, okay? One of them is that Joe Biden thought he could slip one past us, talk a big game, then do nothing. The other possibility is that he deliberately talked a big game and then waited for there to be backlash after he did nothing so that he could look like the hero for changing his mind. Now, given the fact that the maximum that he's trying to set up to is 62,500, which is still, half of the initial annual cap that was proposed, I have a feeling that this is not some bold optics move. I think he was trying to slip one past us. Slippy Joe trying to, hey, lead us past one. Deputy National Security Advisor John Feiner also told the advocates Biden wants to work quickly to bring the refugees who have already been vetted and cleared to the U.S. after a prolonged delay in which many of their flights were canceled. The Biden administration has come under scrutiny over recent weeks for the delay in signing off the proposed increase to the refugee ceiling. A group of House Democrats circulated a letter this week urging Biden to sign the presidential determination, saying lives depend on it, which is undeniably true. The refugee cap must be approved by the president. So this is them talking about his initial apparent unwillingness to raise it above Trump's level, and then it goes on to explain the broader process. As of March 31st, only just over 2,000 refugees have been admitted to the United States this fiscal year under Trump's 15,000 cap, a disgustingly low amount. Refugees are not always the most politically or economically prosperous demographic within a nation. They're usually fleeing horrific circumstances, and they're often traveling here with very little money and very little broader accommodations that make one especially useful to a country's economy. We do not take in refugees because they are beneficial to our economy. We take in refugees because law is meant to be an expression of our moral will, and it is moral to take in refugees, just as it is moral to not allow children to die in the streets. These refugees come here. These refugees come here because, in large part, they are a victim of policies we created. America has been uniquely effective in destabilizing the world around us. There are regional conflicts all over the world that we have had our hand in some way or another, and even if America has not had a direct hand in it, usually if you look back far enough, American foreign intervention has had some influence, at the very least, in the instability present within that region. We take in refugees because we make these problems, and we should put in a little bit of work to help them. Now, eventually, refugees will become prosperous, hardworking citizens of the countries that they immigrate to. I mean, for fuck's sake, Ilhan Omar is a refugee and a congresswoman. I mean, that's about as high up as you can get, right? Though I guess the people who would disagree with me on this would argue that Ilhan Omar is not a productive member of society, but whatever. Let's talk about personal responsibility, okay? I'm a big fan of personal responsibility. Aren't we all? Are conservatives not? Conservatives are a big fan of personal responsibility, I think. If you like personal responsibility, then you should agree with my argument that America and other countries which are developed and prosperous should probably put in a little bit of effort to clean up the messes we make abroad. That's fair, right? It's reasonable. Does anyone here disagree with that? I'm glad to hear it. Conservatives love to fearmonger over refugees because they claim they bring the violence of their home country, but they are the ones fleeing the violence of their home country. It's mostly the foreign policy interventionalists who are bringing that violence to begin with. Refugees are the victims of violence. We have the opportunity to shelter them, as we should. There's really no two ways around this. Biden's hand-wringing over this is absolute dog shit, and the fact that it took a public shaming campaign for him to promise to adopt something that is a fraction of the initial thing he advocated for is pathetic. I don't know if he's trying to look against political backlash or if somebody whispered in his ear and told him that the centrist Dems would be mad at him or that unity is important. I don't really know what led to that, but I don't like it. Chat, you guys realize you're giving them what they want when you just constantly spam chat. You like give the trolls attention. Why? Why do you do that? Jesus. Uh, yeah. Idiots. All right. Oh, hydration is self-care. Whew. Christ. Hey, how about we read some donos, huh? Joseph, thank you so much for the very kind $20. I'm glad you enjoy the content, comrade, and I'm glad that it makes your college trek a little more forgivable. Herdsbird and Tiger Lily, thank you for the $5 both. True, eating well does help a lot with depression. Need that rice and chicken. Chicken. Thoughts on Zan doing hardball interviews like Demon Mama suggested? I didn't watch the conversation between Zan and Demon Mama. I very rarely watch other people's content these days. All I've been watching lately is video game let's plays and like science video essays. Ron's Natural Phenomenon X and Geralt of Boring Trivia. Thank you all very much for the incredibly kind $5. Yes, catastrophizing. Very true. Very, very true. Yes, there are two wolves within you, one positive, one negative, and the one that wins is the one you feed. Goddamn right. I'm happy to hear that, girl. Dumb Bunny, thank you for the very kind $10. I used to send donuts asking you to control me, and today you told me to brush my teeth and not die. Dreams really do come true. True. Hey, it's good advice. Nickard Dixon, thank you for the very kind tier 3 sub. Vosh, everyone tells me I shouldn't, but I really want to date this person that works in my department, pros/cons. I'm kind of lonely, and this seems like my shot. You can debate, Jesus, my brain. You can date people who you work with. Just be careful and try not to cause workplace drama. Just be careful and deliberate, okay? You can also debate them if you want. Yowitopia and Party Pizza, thank you for the tier 1 subs both. Sake Tanuki with a very kind $25. Vosh, I started cleaning my room and ended up creating a Nazi movement with my lobster daughter to appease Aquaman's home purchasing scheme. Yeah, you have to be careful about that. Obviously, when you're engaging in self-care, you want to make sure that you're not following any rules for life, 12 or otherwise. Chance on the Air, thank you for the tier 2 sub. Loving the Vosh Peterson arc. Can I be honest with you guys? I actually think the fact that basic self-help advice is associated intrinsically with Jordan Peterson's book is actually a really bad sign for the online left and their mental health. The fact that stuff like that is like the immediate association that people make, it would be like, yeah, it would be like if I was talking about like how fitness can be good and people are like, you're sounding like the golden one, Vosh. Wow, you're sounding like the golden one and Jocko Willink. You're like sounding like one of those guys right now. It's like, well, really, do they monopolize all discourse on that sort of thing? Is that only them, really? Iridian Knight and David Israel, thank you for the $5 both. Really appreciate that. Oh, maybe David Israel. I couldn't really say. Did you see Philosophy Tube and a lot of others dissing Nostalgia Critic for his weird critique of Pink Floyd's The Wall? No, I don't know anything about Nostalgia Critic, Pink Floyd, that critique, or any drama. Sorry. Boy Meets Many, thanks the gifted tier 1 sub. Fuck yeah, comrade. I'm really happy to hear that. You're able to convince a person's mind. Praxis Monkey, thank you so much for the very kind $10. I'm happy you like the mental health graph. We got 5 segments today, Jesus. Cole Redocha and Legacy Nitro, thank you for the $5 both. Really appreciate that. I'm afraid I do not believe in ghosts, comrade. How do I explain to my Republican parents who happen to be my allies that the GOP is anti-LGBT? If showing your parents that the Republican Party is explicitly against gay marriage doesn't convince them, then I'm not sure anything will. Agent Shonuf K and Illa Devine, thank you all so much for the very, very kind $5. I really appreciate that. Yeah. Republicans are pedophiles. Aqua Fractaline with the $3. Vosh, can you do a segment deconstructing racial essentialism and one elaborating why no names rhetoric is so harmful? Look, I would love to, but unfortunately, with the optics trap that I'm in right now, a white guy talking about how a black woman is perpetuating racism with racial essentialism would probably not go over too well. It's unfortunate because I'm right. I actually do think that the kind of rhetoric No Name uses unironically increases the total amount of racial bias in the world against white and black people, you know? Yeah. Oh yeah, No Name's original name was yeah, No Name. Yeah, jeez. John Burton, ABCDE987, and Team Merc, thank you for the very kind $5. Really appreciate that. I'm totally with you on guns up to you start listing some of the restrictions you did want. I'm so sorry, chat so dense. Hope don't break. That's okay, Conrad. I'm not going anywhere. Pleasant Present and ABCDEE, again, thank you for the $5 both. We couldn't disagree on the subject more, but I still respect your opinion, Vosh. That's okay, as long as we can get along. Dr. Milky Milk, what a wonderful name. Thank you so much for the incredibly kind $40 donation. I really, really appreciate that, comrade. Jesus. Not even a donut message, just kindness. Little Latte, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Comrade, thank you. Team Merc and Trevor R, thank you for the $5 both. Really appreciate that. Infernus with the 1917. You should debate Howie Hawkins. He has an interesting approach to socialism and he's kind of anti-gun. Yeah, I actually had the opportunity to interview Howie Hawkins um a little while ago, back before the election, and I didn't because I knew it was just going to turn into a Bernie or bust debate, you know? Vontux and Internet Mexican, thank you for the very kind $5. Really appreciate that. Yeah, Vontux, I did a segment on that. Thumax Thumarin, thank you for the very kind $10. True, and Primark. Casper Christensen, thanks the $2. Schleppen Life with the tier 2 sub. No not safe for work content here, comrade. Opus V84, thanks the 584, comrade. No, I don't think Tucker Carlson is a particularly eloquent person on his own. He needs his scriptwriter. Rodin the Roman, Internet Mexican, and John Doe. Thank you all so much for the $5. I really, really appreciate that. Yeah, neolib society does accelerate cultural change, John Doe, but Tucker Carlson is clearly talking about racial and demographic differences. Johan, thanks the $5. Fuck Plato, no planes. True. Dredgen, thank you for the $10. Very, very much, comrade. John D. McPallid, thank you for the tier 4 sub. Yellow is the only medically accurate color for jaundice. That is very, very true, comrade. Thank you for adhering to your medical accuracy. I appreciate that. Casper Christensen and Bipolar Bears, thank you for the $5 both. Really appreciate that. If Dark Souls was done by an American ADR studio, Nito would sound like Darth Nihilus from KOTOR. He would not sound like Skeletor. That is definitely true. We did that. We actually did that during a Dark Souls stream. Like, if the Dark Souls games were done by an American studio and voiced by American voice actors, they would be so fucking cringy, dude. Or I guess even from like a cringy Japanese studio, like fucking Square Enix or something like that. Oh my god. Ugh. Wait, what was that? What was that link? I didn't even see it. Hey, the mods are banning too fast. If you have some spicy link that you want to share, make sure to donate me for it, okay? You can donate me $30. and put the link there. Do the Nameless King voice again? No, that's okay. That'll be the N-word, don't. I think the thing auto bans N-words. Joey Huddleston, sorry, and Typing Hazard, thank you very much for the $5. I really appreciate that. What are your thoughts on gun restrictions in countries that don't have the same issue America does with having so many guns? I'm more amicable to those there. I don't want there to be a fuck ton of guns all over the place in like Britain or whatever. Holy Pancake and Reza Sutra, thank you for the tier 1 subs. Really appreciate that. Zanya with the 5 gifted tier 1 subs, comrade. The main issue with a schizophrenic owning a gun is if they end up off their medication, their perception of reality may be badly compromised. Yeah. It's difficult. Yeah. Roz, thank you for the 5. Hippie Punk, thanks for the tier 1 sub. And Ed Hillamar, thank you for the incredibly kind $20. Yes, it would be lovely if leftists would go after actual objective enemies to socialism and the working class. But, you know, we got to fight each other first. Master Stephen, Rory Blue, thank you for the $5. Both. John Dis McPallid, thank you likewise. Maybe, comrade. Uranium Nut, thank you so much for the very, very kind $20 donation. I really, really appreciate that, comrade. Jesus. Just went to my first DSA meeting. Fuck yeah. I hope you had a good time. Did I just accidentally close a $50 dono from John Deese and read it as a $5 dono accidentally? Oh no, I think I did. I think I did, yeah. John Deese, thank you so much for the very kind $50. Here, hold on. I'll go get the... Wait, is Hyena watching? Bring me the pigeon. There, Hyena will bring the pigeon. Woden's Day and Anonymous Soup Ladle, thank you for the $10 both. I don't want to debate Sam Cedar. I want to talk with Sam Cedar. Manster and Mortimier, thank you for the $5 both. Really appreciate that. Yes, I played Dark Souls 3 with the DLCs, but I don't need any mods for Dark Souls. Those games are excellent enough on their own. Captain Spalding, Dax Alvarez, and Philosopher Queen, thank you for the $5 all. I really appreciate that. Oh, God, Philosopher Queen. Here's a quote from them. All mentally ill people can take steps to improve their mental state. Also, schizophrenic people can't be trusted with guns because they're too unstable. Philosopher Queen, I'm really not interested in trying to explain to you why I think it's appropriate to be hesitant about firearm ownership for schizophrenics, okay? I'm sorry. If you have schizophrenia and you feel personally affected by this, I'm super duper sorry, but we're not... Come on. I am schizophrenic? Oh, your bias reveals itself, Philosopher Queen. Hey! What is this? We'll see. Oh, hey! I didn't realize she was upside down. I didn't. She's upside down. Oh my god! Hello. I'm sorry. Kinda. I thought that was the other end of her body. I'm sorry. Bit of a wake up call. Hello. Hi. This is the Orphan of Cause being birthed before the boss fight. Can we straighten out a little bit, maybe? Do a little lick. Do a lick. Lick. She's chomping. She's so tired. Ugly chicken baby. So sleepy. Here. Look at this. Beep. All right. Here, I put you back in your ball sack. There we go. She's scratching her chin. Where's her fur? I shave it off every morning. I wish she was a little bit more in frame. Pigeon, do you want to move a little more in frame? I don't want to tilt the camera down. Because I'm lazy. No? What if I gently nudge you? It didn't work. Ooh, stretch. Big stretchy. Wow. Ooh. I love you too. All right, get on out. Go. Shoo. Go eat kibble. All right. Brick Frog and Edhala Mar, thank you for the $5 both, comrade. Brick Frog, I'm afraid I can't promise anything. I've gotten swamped with emails lately. Jesus. I didn't harass her. Here.
You fucking broke her neck.
You gave her to me upside down.
I told you she's upside down.
I thought you meant upside down the other way. At Halamarth, that's a very difficult question. Workplace culture varies massively from place to place. Alabaster and Cage Match. Thank you for the tier 2 sub both, comrade. I really appreciate that. Sorry for exploiting the relationship between you and my YouTube channel last year. Huh? True. Very, very true. Goddamn right. That's all of you, okay? It's every one of you. Except for all the trans girls, I guess, because you probably don't want to look like that. Sake Tanuki, thank you for the very kind $10. Worst part of Bernie or Bust is that with the victory of former VP Joe Biden, the anti-medical assistance, anti-trans bills, we didn't get Bernie or Bust. I don't get it. Pan9K and Cole Cynic, thank you for the $15 both. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you very much, comrade. Oh, Zonia, no big deal, I don't think. Vosh fans are braver than the troops. Beep Beep Taco, thanks the $2. Vosh, your position on police is reformist BS. That's okay. I know my community is full of lots of people who do and don't understand these problems. So, you know. Skill Will, Jinta, and PTSD from BPDS, thank you for the $5 all. I really appreciate that. Yes, there should be more house husbands. Thank you very, very much. Soup for my Voshite family clip. What?
Four nights. I'm just standing here today with soup for my family, and we're just, you know, watching all of this unfold. It's very unfortunate.
You're not planning on using that, are you? Throwing it at the police?
Like I said, it's for my family.
Literally for your family.
Yeah.
All right.
What a fucking Chad. God. And hey Lamar, thank you for the very kind tier 2 sub. Thanks for paying up. Sake with the very kind $10. The OK Buddy Time arc will happen soon, I promise. Potato Band Plug, thank you for the sub re-uppin'. Cilia with a tier 2 sub, thank you. I don't know anything about donut economies, but I do like donuts. Short Fat Otaku is a dumbass. What a name. Thank you for the $2. What do you think of Michael Malice? Don't know much about them. Also, do ANCAPs recognize that private property conflicts with freedom of movement? No, they don't. They will never realize that, actually. Rabba Rabba, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Thank you. I'm glad my house is clean, too. John Burton with the $5. Didn't Hassan play the raw footage the other day on his stream? Hassan is a partnered streamer and one of the biggest on the site. I'm not even affiliate. I don't want to take the risks that he does because there's a very real possibility of me just getting banned for like a minor infraction in a way that he won't be. You know what I mean? Like even if he makes a mistake, he's going to get more leeway. He has a partner manager. Agni Kai and Garrett Rashford, thank you for the $5 both. What do you think caused the political shift in the military in the last few years? I have no idea. That's a really, really complicated one. I don't know much about military culture. I only know like a couple of things. Tattoo Jew Boy, thanks the tier 1 sub. Greetings again from Florida. Our state senate just passed a frightening anti-protest bill. I'm afraid the link you linked me doesn't work, but I think I know which one you're referring to. Illa Devine, thank you for the very kind $10. A meme I made about the situation. True. Did you guys see that guy on Twitter who was like, this is the real nature of that thug? And he posted the guy who got shot in the car, and it was like a picture of him holding a gun. And then people looked into that guy's history, and he had like a fuck ton of pictures with him with a gun, you know? I hate conservatives. Oh my god, I hate them. Colin Costco, thank you so much for the $20. I was delivering to an apartment complex that had cops everywhere, and a cop was watching a corner and got spooked, and he aimed his tear gas launcher at me. They're far too jumpy. Dude, it's so fucked up. Cops are constantly, like, they must all, like, die at 60 from fucking heart pressure, blood shit. They're, like, constantly, their hands are, like, fucking oscillating at all times around their holster. It's insane. They're trained to be so fucking paranoid. Military personnel aren't like that. Veterans are not like that, by the way. soldiers have very strict rules of engagement that they have to engage in or they get court-martialed, and they are trained to be way more. Oh my God. Dude, if soldiers in like Iraq acted the way police do in America, I feel like there would have been like 100,000 more like civilian deaths, you know? Iraq, like every Iraqi kid approaching a veteran within like fucking 100 meters or something gets Swiss cheesed from a distance. Not to say that soldiers never fuck up like that, because they absolutely do. But I feel like generally military personnel are trained way, way, way better. Yeah, all the ego with none of the self-control. Very bad take. No, I'm actually correct on this one. Military personnel are trained better than police. That is 100% true. I'm not saying military personnel never commit war crimes. You know they fucking do. I'm just saying that as a general rule, they are definitely trained to adhere to a stricter terms of engagement. There's a hold on. Military rules of engagement. There's like a whole thing on it. Rules of engagement, the ROE, are internal rules or directives among military forces, including individuals, that define the circumstances, conditions, degree, and manner in which they use force. Here. What's the I want to see the list. Knowing Better did a video on this. Yeah, I've seen the Knowing Better video. I'm trying to see if I can, because there was a list on it. Botanica. I'm just finding articles on it. There's like a list where there's like a. Yeah. That's not to say it's good. No nuance here. Jesus. All right. Why has the online left seemingly turned against AOC the Squad lately? Because leftists online have a fetish for being killed in gas chambers and put into death camps. They have a kink for it. They jerk off to the fantasy every night. And they know the only way their fantasy is going to come true is if they attack every single progressive in any position of power. So they're like slowly arriving at that point, so that when like 40 years from now they can finally get that big bust. Malia Floyd, thank you for the $5. Thank you, comrade. We're all trying out here. And Noah Procco, thank you likewise. Eddie is willing to have a convo. Has he contacted you? He can email me. Just email me. Just email me. That's all. He can email, and then we're fine. Sake Tanuki, $10. We didn't get Bernie. We didn't get Booba, Bernie, or Bust. Failed at both. That's true. We didn't get nearly enough Booba. Stacy E, thank you very much for the incredibly kind $25. Really appreciate that. Hunga Master, thank you for the $2. Can you tell Pitbot to unmute me? I've been muted for over 30 minutes. No, I've seen your posts in chat. You probably deserve that mute. Shepawick, thank you for the $5. My pleasure. Rice Prisky Treat, thank you for the $10. I've used your coconut analogy with multiple ANCAPs, and they have no idea how to respond. It's glorious. Hope you have a rad weekend. Thank you. I'm glad the coconut analogy has effect. I love that coconut command, dude. It's so fucking dumb. fucking Craig. What's the coconut now? You haven't heard the coconut now? Damn. All right. Well, Necto CA, thank you for the $5. Beautiful baby. So white. Blindingly white. Damn. Is that Mike from PA's dog? Your boy Shamoy, thank you for the very kind $30, comrade. I don't agree with all your advice, but I think it was pretty great. Also to help bring dopamine. Oh, shit. What is this? Godzilla versus Kong? Oh, is this a sculpture? I'm not giving this fucking movie any more of my goddamn money. Though this does look cool. How big is this? 5.7 inches? Okay, so it's not super big. Posable action figures are really cool, though. As long as they're made well. I need to get more anime figurines. I am monkey pilled. Everyone else, thank you for the $5. How much of the alt-right shift into the military do you think has to do with 9/11? I don't think the military has a bunch of alt-right stuff in it. There might be some QAnon shit. I don't know how much alt-right stuff is there. Maybe potato. But there's no denying there's a lot of racism in the military. Hunger Master with $2. Wait, seriously, I just asked if there were any Chinese people in chat who wanted to speak in Mandarin twice. There's something I'm missing. Okay, hold on. Wait, whoops. We're gonna find out. Oh, my keyboard is fucking up. My keyboard has been dying for a month. It frequently misses keys, and I have to scoot it closer to the fucking computer. You said, any Chinese people in chat, I want to practice some Mandarin, sigh emoji. And then, again, any Chinese people in chat, I want to practice some Mandarin, sigh emoji, exhale emoji. It's a little weird, Hunger Master. I mean, it feels a little weird. It's okay, stream's ending anyway. You'll be safe soon. It's all going to be okay. Julia Joska, thank you for the very kind $5. Yeah, daily emotion trackers can be super helpful for bipolar disorder. 100%. Hey guys, I appreciate the stream. This is actually the first politics stream we've done in a while that didn't descend into a bunch of horrific leftist infighting. Anyway, I know a lot of you disagree with me on the gun takes, but I hope you can at least see my perspective with regards to America specifically, at least. I love you all very much. You're beautiful people. I'll see you all soon, okay?